Veolia et al. Case, which is currently pending in San Benito Superior Court. And on this matter, direction was unanimously given by the City Council to the City Manager to pursue further negotiations to try and settle the case with the principals for Veolia. That's all I have to report. Thank you.
Tonight we have a proclamation for Parks and Recreation Month. And I don't believe anybody from the department is here, but Bill is.
I'll take it.
Bill will do it.
I never get to do it.
You spent a lot of time there, so. You did spend a lot of time there. Whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to economic and environmental well-being of a community and region. And now, therefore, Ignacio Velasquez, Mayor of the City of Hollister, on behalf of the entire council, do hereby proclaim July as Parks and Recreation Month. Bill?
Thank you. Since our agenda is 1,287 pages, let's get started. Thanks.
Thank you. We're going to move forward to the consent agenda. Are there any items council would like to pull?
A15.
A15.
Mr. Mayor, I need to recuse from A11. A11.
Recusing from A11, and
Yes.
you'd like to pull A12? I'm going to recuse myself from item A8 and A9. Do we have any from the public? We do not?
I'd like to make a motion that we
No,
approve
Mr.
the
Mayor.
consent calendar as amended.
Okay. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. We will move to item A12.
Ray Friend made the motion, yes, ma'am.
Item A12.
12? Okay.
Who's going to speak on that?
That wasn't.
A12. It's a cannabis item.
I heard A11 was pulled as well.
No,
No,
he's
it's
just
not.
12.
abstaining from
Oh, okay.
A11.
No. All right.
A12.
The reason I pulled it, Maria, is because at the last time when we actually went ahead and moved this agenda item forward, I had asked for, I was concerned about any businesses displaced in the city, and we don't want to lose businesses, that's for sure. And I was informed at that time that the businesses were moved to other locations, and at that time I requested information to come back before this meeting, which I never received, just to know for sure that these businesses were still in Hollister and they were placed in another location. And that's why I bring it up now.
Yeah, it is my understanding that the owner is working with the property owner on Fallon Road, and I believe he has property that they're looking into leasing from them. That's the last I heard from him. He is also here in case there's any more questions directly to him.
And there's 3 or 4 businesses, do you know?
I believe there's 3.
There's 3?
I'm seeing 2.
2? Oh, okay. Sorry, 2.
Okay. And that was my question, and I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there any speaker cards on the item?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. We'll go on to item A15.
Yes, I pulled item A15, which is the Bella Vista storm drain improvements. I have a couple concerns on this item. Well, the first being that there was only a single bid, and then it seems like a kind of a high cost for the limited improvements that are actually going to be done. And then the last being that this is an area that doesn't have sidewalk improvements and has been a concern for Hollister and unincorporated county residents for a long time, and it seems like this would be a decent opportunity for us to try to get some improvements in that area. So those are my concerns with this item.
So, yes, this is a storm drain project at Bella Vista. It's a CIP project. We did receive only one bid. Bids were opened June 6, 2018. The bid amount was $135,389, and the engineer's estimate was $65,000. So it was significantly more than what we expected. There are certain reasons that we think of the high cost. One, we only had one bid, so we had nothing to choose from. So the staff does recommend that you do award the contract, but we do have alternatives if the council decides that they do not want to award the contract.
Okay, I think it might be worth looking at packaging this with another storm drain project in the future so that we can try to get some economies of scale, and then also possibly look at adding in the concrete for the sidewalk if we have the right of way.
Yeah, agreed. That was one of the recommendations the staff had, combining it with another larger CIP project, and also increasing the project to benefit the community around the area.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Aguilar?
If I may, too, Scott, if you don't mind, I think even as of late this afternoon, we were looking at a possible another alternative design as well that may actually do the same thing and cost even less. So that was another thing that we looked at today.
Okay. Councilmember Aguilar?
Yeah, coming in at, nearly triple the, a little over double, in between double and triple the amount as much, more than we anticipated. I had met with city staff earlier today, and I agree with Councilmember Clower. I think we ought to consider bundling this with other projects and increasing the scope if we can.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Any speaker cards?
No,
All right.
Mr. Mayor.
Is there a motion on this item?
So would we just do nothing, or?
Yeah. We'll let it die, and we'll bring it back for something else. Okay. Seeing there's no motion, this item dies for lack of a motion. We will move on now. Thank you very much.
Can I make
Thank
a
you.
comment? This is Socorro. She's 0 for 1. What a way to start. No, she did a really, really good job. I just wanted to introduce. I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to meet her. She is one of our new assistant engineers, so she's done a really good job since she's been here. So
In case you thought it was
Thank
going to
you.
be easy.
I did.
Welcome, Squirrel.
Thank you.
Welcome to
Better
the
watch that bus to the back up on you. All right, we're going to move to item C, public input. This is a time for anyone in the audience to speak on any item not on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. Speaker cards are available in the lobby and are to be completed and given to the city clerk before speaking. When the city clerk calls your name, please come to the podium, state your name and city for the record, and speak to the city council. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes per subject. Please note that state law prohibits the city council from discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda. Do we have any speaker cards tonight?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. We'll move to item D, D1, city manager's report.
I have nothing to report this evening.
Okay. Let's continue. Item E1, emergency ordinance.
Okay, I'm gonna fill in because the people that are here aren't here. This ordinance will regulate the amount of butane that is purchased by residents or homeowners in the city of Hollister. As you may or may not be aware, butane is one of the products that is used for extraction of cannabis oils or honey oil from the plants. We've encountered In the past, we've encountered some homes that have caught on fire, or there's other health and safety issues as it relates to this particular product. What the police department is seeking is an ordinance that limits the amount of sales to individuals, and also the storage of the product in homes, et cetera. If we walk into a home lab or something like that, we just want another sort of a bullet for the gun. Oh, there's Dan. Maybe Dan, did you want to give him a little bit more on the butane ordinance, or am I doing okay?
Doing great.
Okay. Jeez. Anyway, so what you have in front of you today is an urgency ordinance. Again, upon adoption, this goes into effect immediately. At the same time, we're hoping to do the regular ordinance, which will be its first reading. We'll have a second reading in August, and then it goes into effect 30 days after that. There will be a slight gap of essentially no ordinance, but we're doing our best to try to minimize that as much as possible. So again, this is really just a health and safety issue for us. There's really not a need for any individual to have cases of butane stored in their garage. So.
Councilor Aguilera?
Just a quick question for either of you two folks. Have we reached out to any of the folks that sell this? I imagine like Ace Hardware sells it and that sort of thing. And I know in here there's some requirements for them to track who they sell it to. And have we thought about maybe any unintended consequences with the vendors?
Well, we're limiting it to small amounts that we sold. Fine.
Okay.
But we don't know of any other purpose other than
Yeah. But are they going to have to lock it up, and are we going to prepare them for that?
I think he's asking if we're going to be notifying vendors so that they can be prepared to.
We've already gone around and talked to several of them.
There we go.
About
Thank
the
you.
process.
Because it's an emergency ordinance, just a reminder, you'll need a 4/5 vote on this one.
Right. When would the other ordinance be ready to?
Go ahead.
The second ordinance is actually coming before you tonight as a first reading in addition to the urgency ordinance. So it will be adopted on August 6th, and then will go into an effect 30 days after that. So essentially it will be September 6th will be when the ordinance 1169 will be effective.
Okay. Is there any other questions from council? I think personally, I would like to have known a little more about this before it came to us, so we could have had a good discussion on it. Because as Councilor Gilio was asking, have the stores been notified? How are we going to track this and so on? Obviously, this is a problem happening throughout our community and other communities. We need to put something to place, but it's going to be a tough one to do right. I want to make sure we're taking the time to do it right.
On behalf of the police department also, I'd like to say that there's a slight administrative change that we'd like to make to the ordinance, and that's in the code on page...
That's for the other, not the emergency? No.
For both. For both.
Okay, so we'll go through this first. Oh, on both, you're saying?
On both. They're exactly alike. The only difference is one's an urgency and one is not.
Okay.
Just like we did for the PEG fees, there was two exactly alike. One was an urgency and one was not.
Okay, Councilmember Front.
So we haven't outlawed the sale. Or are we saying we're outlawing the sale?
No, you're not outlawing the sale.
No.
Because my cigar lighter takes butane.
Right. It's just the quantity that you can purchase at one time.
Yeah.
Yes, you're limiting the sale, and you're also requiring
Registration.
people that sell the product to keep records with regards to how they sell it, to whom they sold it, and they keep tabs of that. So there are limitations in the ordinance with regards to how often a person could come walking off the street to go buy a can of butane.
Well, it's limited to 600 milliliters?
That's correct.
Once a month.
For 30 days.
Cans are 125.
Okay.
So,
Councilmember
sorry, go ahead.
Flower?
Kind of an ignorant question, but is 600 milliliters a lot of butane?
What was it?
The little cans you buy for your cigars are 125.
Yeah, the can's about that big, right?
300 milliliters.
Dan, well,
So two
what-
cans.
One of the officers might want to come up to explain what's going on, so we're all clear on this.
Yeah, Mayor, members of council, I apologize. I thought our meeting started at 6:30, not 5:30 today. So yes, what you have before you is both an urgency ordinance and a first reading of what we hope to be the regular ordinance. It will not outlaw the sale of butane. It will simply restrict the amount of quantity that you can buy of the refined butane. Like Councilmember Friend said, your cigar lighter takes butane. The butane you're using for your cigar lighter is most likely the normal butane, which has odor. It's much like natural gas has odor put into it.
Yeah.
The butane that is being sold by these companies, by these stores, is a refined butane that is targeted towards this butane honey oil labs. It's odorless, it's colorless. I highly doubt that you would have to be a heck of a cigar smoker to go through a 300 milliliter canister of butane in a month. And we're restricting it down to 2 of those a month. One of those 300 milliliter canisters will fill a 1,400 square foot house with enough gas to make it explode. 1 canister. And these people are buying it by the cases. Normally they're anywhere between 6 to 10 canisters per case.
Okay. Councilman Gillier had a question.
Just real quick, is there any legitimate use for this refined butane oil? What's the legitimate use for it?
I'm sure there
Camping
is. I
or-
mean, if you really want to have odorless cigar lighter,
Is it for camping as well? Is it the same as
there
camping
are
stoves? or-
there are some camping stoves that take butane. It's normally out of a different canister than the
Oh.
300 milliliter canister that
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Okay, thank you.
Now, have you brought this ordinance? Have you looked at it from different cities? What
This
they're
is-
doing? Is that how you crafted this?
Yes, this is the same ordinance that Sacramento County currently has, and also the city of Eureka, almost verbatim. In fact, in the ordinance that you have, section 5.42.350 actually references Sacramento County Code 6.90.050 subsection A. So I would ask that if approved, be changed to reference our section, which would be 5.40.350 subsection A.
Okay. The other question I would have for you, are you finding this to be a problem currently, or you're trying to head off a problem?
Both. I recently went to a training where an expert in the field of BHO stated that there were approximately 291 illegal butane honey oil labs found in California last year. 291. Since 2011, there have been over 140 injuries and 41 deaths caused by these homemade BHO lab explosions and fires. Just last May, we had our own BHO lab explosion here on Powell Street, where the suspect that was making the BHO actually ended up having to be airlifted out of here with burn injuries. So I'm trying to deal with the problem that we have. So far this year, we've come across 2 home labs that are producing this BHO, this butane honey oil, at more than a personal use. And I'm also trying to head off any future explosions.
On those incidents, did you track down where that was purchased? Was it purchased within our community, or you?
Uncooperative. It's because all these stores sell the same types. It'd be difficult to find out where they came from. I understand that we're not going to be able to keep Amazon, keep eBay, keep these internet companies out. But with this ordinance, at least we can do our part at mitigating the explosions and the dangers.
Okay. Any other questions from council? We have speaker cards.
Yes, we do for E1.
Well, actually, I'm going to open it to public hearing. It's a public. This time we'll open to public hearing.
This is an urgency ordinance number 1156 of the City Council of the City of Hollister, adding section 5.42.300 butane resale regulation to Hollister Municipal Code 5.42 cannabis facilities regulatory permit, and read by title only, waive full reading, and introduce ordinance number 1169, an ordinance adding section 5.42.300 butane resale regulation to chapter 5.42 cannabis facilities regulatory permit. We have one speaker, Marty Richmond.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Marty Richmond from Hollister. Well, I certainly support this, but I want to recommend some improvements, if you may. One of the improvements I would recommend is the thing that needs to go into effect immediately is the storage and use portion, banning a storage and use over a certain amount. Because it's not about record keeping then, which I'm just worried that people who do use it legitimately will take some time, maybe a little time, but some time record keeping. Also, I think it's easier to get around the record keeping because to get somebody in family A, first person buys it, then the second person buys it, the third person buys it. I'm not saying it's useless. I'm just saying it takes time to implement it. So we ought to give the merchants time. But as far as use and storage, it's an immediate hazard. And that immediate hazard should be taken care of immediately. And therefore, I urge you to do that. The other thing I would do and look to the future, whether you like it or don't like it, is the use of butane to extract cannabis oil in the future by a licensed company who is properly equipped and spends the money to put in an explosive-proof laboratory and the proper electrical and all the stuff involved is whether you like it or not, it's probably coming in the future. And I think we ought to make some reference in our future about, with the exception of those who are properly licensed to use butane for various purposes. And then it will be up to the fire department and the police department to determine what the licensing procedure is, and that would include a fire inspection and so on and so forth. In the event someone is licensed, we'd have to come up with a way to license it. But I believe that there are people who have a legitimate use for it. I can't think of any right offhand, but I'm sure somebody will tell me what it is, because it has to do with extracting chemicals and purity. But it is an extraordinarily dangerous procedure for people who are not properly equipped and don't know what they're doing and trying to do it in the house. And there have been many deaths attributed to it. Colorado's had many explosions and people severely injured and burned. And New York City's had a couple of deaths, including firefighters. So it's really important that we ban it, storage and use immediately until we can get a handle on it. And I think the control of the sale, by the way, storage should include, you can't put it in your storage locker somewhere, okay? Not in your house, you can't put it in storage. But I think control of the sale is going to be a little more difficult. Take some time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other speakers?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, at this time we're going to close public hearing. Any other questions or comments from council?
Mr. Mayor, just to address Mr. Richmond's points, the ordinance does cover and prohibits the unlawful storage. That's under proposed section 5.42.340B. It states it is unlawful for any person who is not a reseller or wholesaler to have in their possession, custody, or control any number of butane canisters that exceeds a combined total storage quantity of 600 milliliters of butane at any one time. Then the other provision that he brought up is also addressed, which is that the limitations or the prohibitions for the butane, there's an exception to that, and that's one of the exceptions is set forth in section 5.42.340B, subsection number 2, which basically allows that provides as follows. I'll read it. The limitation in this subsection shall not apply to the following. And number 2 is butane canisters possessed by persons solely for the purposes of furthering their own ongoing lawful and city licensed commercial operations which require butane quantities greater than 600 milliliters. So that exception is covered.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Move to item E2.
Do you want to read by title only, Christine, the first one, the other one? And then, yes, Chris would like to have the motion to include the amended numbers of the ordinance number.
I'll make that motion that we add ordinance 1169 and read by title only
And waive full reading.
and waive public reading.
Okay. Okay. So, urgency ordinance 1156, an urgency ordinance of the City of Hollister, California, adding section 5.42.300 to Hollister Municipal Code 5.42, medical cannabis facilities regulatory permit of the Hollister Municipal Code, restricting the resale and possession of butane.
That's number one.
And introducing ordinance 1169, an ordinance of the City of Hollister, California, adding section 5.42.300 to Hollister Municipal Code 5.42, medical cannabis facilities regulatory permit of the Hollister Municipal Code, restricting the resale and possession of butane.
And that's my motion, what she said.
Do we, Mr. Friend, if I may, I think we need to make an adjustment to one of the numbers in the ordinance as well.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Which
We
one?
need to amend 5.42.350 to read from referencing 6.09.
On page 3.
Yeah, I'm sorry, page 3,
And it's subsection B, correct? Is that what you're
subsection
talking
B.
about? Is that what you're talking about? 5.42350 subsection B?
Yes, sir.
We need to update that last code in the last sentence.
Yes.
Okay.
Need to update it from 6.90.050 subsection A to read 5.42.350 subsection A.
You got that? That's right there.
Second.
Yeah, that was your amended motion? Or?
That's my amended
Okay.
motion.
Okay. That's what I thought I heard the first time. So the motion is second.
I'll
All in
amend my
favor?
second.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move to item E2.
Good evening again. The item before you tonight is for the approval of a cannabis use permit and development agreement for Organics to operate a cannabis manufacturing facility. The proposed manufacturing license allows the licensee to engage in manufacturing operations such as extraction, infusion process, including preparing, storing, packaging, labeling, and storing components and ingredients. Organics intends to manufacture high-quality cannabis products by local principles. Conditions of approval and state regulations have been put in place to ensure cannabis goods are manufactured in safe and a secure manner and to ensure compliance with fire, health, and safety, including security and zoning standards. The project site is located at 1650 Lana Way within the Light Industrial Zoning District. The manufacturing facility is located within a warehouse building at the same location. The building number is B. There are also 2 additional buildings on this property. Both are occupied by cannabis-related businesses that have been previously approved by the City Council. The applicant will utilize the current site without any modifications except for those requested by any departments from the City of Hollister. This approval will allow the applicant to commence operations contingent upon all conditions approval being met. With that, staff recommends that the City Council adopt Resolution Number 2018-164, approving a cannabis use permit and development agreement for Organics to operate a cannabis manufacturing facility out of 1650 Lana Way. Are there any questions?
Any questions from council? Okay, at this time I'm going to open it to public hearing. Do we have any speakers?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, at this time we'll close public hearing.
Make a motion that we approve E2.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I need to recuse myself from item 3 due to a conflict of interest with the site being proposed, as a family member of mine previously owned it.
E3, okay. Okay.
Good evening again. For this item, the City Council previously approved a manufacturing cannabis use permit for a Euphoric Life at 807 Industrial Drive. Tonight, the applicant is requesting approval of a cannabis distribution permit. As a distributor license allows for transporting cannabis goods, arranging for testing of cannabis goods, and conducting quality assurance review of cannabis products to ensure they comply with all packaging and labeling requirements. Distributors ensure that products have been batch tested and verified as safe before entering the market. Conditions of approval and state regulations have been put in place to ensure that cannabis goods are properly stored, handled, packaged, and tested. It also ensures distributors keep and maintain records to effectively track and trace cannabis goods. The project site is located at 807 Industrial Drive. It is within the Light Industrial Zoning District. This approval will allow the applicant to commence operations contingent upon all conditions of approval being met. With that said, staff recommends that City Council adopt Resolution 2018-165, approving a cannabis use permit and development agreement for Euphoric Life to operate a cannabis distribution facility out of 807 Industrial Drive. Are there any questions?
Okay, is there any questions from council?
Just to reconfirm my statement, I want to make sure I'm correct. There's still no marijuana being grown here. There's marijuana being manufactured into, or cannabis being manufactured into pain-type devices, patches, medicines, that sort of thing, and then transported out. That's why they need the distribution permit, is to be able to move it and sell it outside of the area.
Correct.
Is that correct? Thank you.
Okay. This time we're going to open public hearing. Do we have any speaker cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
This time we'll close public hearing.
I'll make a motion that we approve E3.
There's a motion.
Second.
The motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No. 3-1.
Mr. Clower.
We'll move forward to item E4.
Good evening, Mayor and council members again. The City of Hollister has previously approved a manufacturing and cultivation cannabis use permit for LLXP at 1971 Airway Drive. Tonight, the applicant is requesting approval of a cannabis distribution permit as well. As a distributor, license allows for transporting, arranging for testing, and conducting quality assurance of cannabis goods and to ensure product complies with all packaging and labeling requirements. Distributors ensure that products have been batch tested and verified as safe before entering the market. Conditions of approval and state regulations have been put in place to ensure that cannabis goods are properly stored, handled, packaged, and tested, and it also ensures that distributors keep and maintain records effectively for track and trace of cannabis goods. The project site is located at 1971 Airway Drive. It is within the Airport Zoning District. This approval will allow the applicant to commence operations contingent upon all conditions of approval being met. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt Resolution 2018 number 166, approving a cannabis use permit and development agreement for LLXB Corporation to operate a cannabis distribution facility out of 1971 Airway Drive in Hollister. Are there any questions?
Any questions from council? No? This time we're going to open public hearing.
No, Mr. Mayor.
No speakers. This time we're closing public hearing. Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. We'll go on to item E5.
Mr. Mayor, I will be recusing myself from this item. Had somebody donate to our campaign that could benefit potentially from this EIR, as well as Ordinance 1165 and 1167, out of an abundance of caution, even though there is a possibility that there might be a conflict of interest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nova, I think I have a PowerPoint, please. Thank you very much, Nova. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Good evening. The action being requested tonight is threefold. And just turn this on. And it's as follows. One is a request for the approval of a resolution adopting an environmental impact report, mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the Chapel Road area pre-zone, which I will be explaining to you in just a little bit. Two, have the first reading and introduce ordinances 1157 through 1168 for the pre-zoning of 13 parcels within the Chapel Road area pre-zoning site, which consists of a total area of 117.72 acres, of which 17.43 acres are designated for the North Gateway Zoning District, and 100.26 acres would be designated low-density residential performance overlay zone. And number three, a request to schedule a second reading to consider adoption of the ordinances for the August 6th City Council meeting. The map before you shows the project site and the vicinity of the area. Just want to emphasize, though, that this is for pre-zoning purposes only. There's no development being considered at this time. Staff has not seen any conceptuals or any preliminaries or any formal applications for development. This is just for pre-zoning for eventual annexation of this property. As you can see, the area is designated on the map as with the letters A through I, and also the numbers 1, number 2, and number 3. The area designated as letter A and B1 is designated for North Gateway Commercial, and B2 through I and the numbers 1, 2, and 3 is designated for Low Density Residential Performance Overlay Zone. A little bit of history on prior to the applicant submitting an application for the pre-zone of a property and getting the go-ahead to fund for the preparation of environmental impact report, the applicant is required to submit an application for the initiation of pre-zone of a property. And so, and the reason for that is for staff and the council to consider whether the property is in close proximity to services, for services to be connected to the site, and also to consider the proximity of the area to be pre-zoned to the existing city limits. And so on April 20th, 2015, the City Council adopted resolution number 2015-79 authorizing an initiation of pre-zone for the project, which basically gave the go-ahead for the pre-zoning and for the preparation of the environmental impact report. I want to briefly just touch about on certain characteristics of the project proposal. One, the project, as mentioned, is adjacent to the city limits and sphere of influence, which essentially follows an orderly growth pattern for the city of Hollister, as it should be. Two, about 17.5 acres of the 117 acres being proposed for pre-zone is designated North Gateway Commercial, which allows for a opportunity for commercial retail in the city of Hollister, and also for an opportunity for a range of job creation. Another opportunity for this project pre-zone is the performance overlay zone. The entire 100.26 acres of the area that's being designated for low density residential actually has a performance overlay zone. As you know, Council, the performance overlay zone was adopted in 2009 with the zoning ordinance, which basically allows for a variation from the standard 5,500 square foot lots that usually come with a single family home to see more of a duet, duplex, triplex, fourplex type of housing in within these low density residential zoning districts, which would allow up to 8 dwelling units per acre. So as you've seen on these projects that have been approved through our tentative maps, we've actually incorporated some of these duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes in these approvals, because we well know of the need that this community has for rental units. And so the overlay zone would allow for the city to be able to have that option for future development, pending pre-zone and annexation of the property. Another quality that this pre-zone has is that currently the city of Hollister has a certified housing element. One of the ways that the state of California Housing and Community Development department was able to certify it was because we were able to demonstrate as a city that we had the vacant lots that could meet those housing numbers that they provided for us. So from 2015 all the way to 2023, we had to show that we had enough vacant lots to meet a minimum of 1,316 residential units. Of those, there was a certain percentage for very low income housing, low income housing, moderate, and above moderate. In 2023, we would have to go into the possibility of adopting a new housing element, and so I'm thinking around 2021 or so we would get our new numbers, and so bringing in new land would help us for us to potentially meet future regional housing need allocations from HCD. Another aspect that I would like to share is that even though there's no proposed projects at this time for residential development, one of the mitigation measures in the environmental impact report indicates that prior to submittal of any new tentative map or site and architectural review for actual development on this site, the applicant has to work together with the City of Hollister to master plan this whole area. And within the master plan, we would want to see where the residential is going to be, circulation. We would want to make sure that that whole area is master plan. So this is actually going to give us a good opportunity to plan out this whole quadrant, this whole section of town pending pre-zone and annexation. Another opportunity that this project can have is the open space requirements. Currently, the city's open parks master plan requires 4 acres of land for every 1,000 persons in the city of Hollister. As you know, our draft parks master plan requires that we analyze the potential for 5 acres of parkland for every 1,000 persons. At 100 acres with the possibility of up to 8 dwelling units per acre, with an average range of about 6 dwelling units per acre, at 3.42 persons per household, as indicated by the Department of Finance, we have the potential for about 10.25 acres of open space to fulfill, soccer fields, basketball courts, tennis courts that we can plan out for this project site in the future. And another aspect is working with the school district for the master planning of this site as well. The school district has indicated that this is a site for a possible future location for one of their schools in the future, and so we will be working with the school district and identifying that future site and incorporating it in with the master plan of this project. Just a little bit of history. As indicated, the City Council unanimously approved Resolution 2015-79, approving the initiation of pre-zone. That was in April of 2015, just a little bit over 3 years ago. On October 7, 2016, the City of Hollister published a public notice, and sent out notification to neighbors and to our responsible agencies, essentially letting them know that we were going to be preparing as a lead agency an environmental impact report for this site. A little bit over a year later, after the public notice was published for the notice of preparation, a draft EIR was prepared and was circulated for 45 days for comment review period, which ended December 13, 2017. On April 13, 2018 of this year, we sent out public notification for a public hearing before the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission met on April 26, 2018 and unanimously recommended approval of the environmental impact report and the pre-zone to the City Council. And on June 1st and again on June 8th, there was a public notice for today's public hearing before the City Council for the request to adopt the resolution of the adoption of the EIR and mitigation monitoring and reporting program, and for the first reading of the pre-zones. The next step, essentially, if you decide to approve the first reading of the ordinances 1157 through 1168, staff would request that we schedule a second reading for August 6th, the next regular City Council meeting, to consider the adoption of the ordinances 1157 through 1168. Pending that approval, then the applicant will have to apply to LAFCO for a public hearing for annexation. And then pending that approval, then at that point we will work with the applicant for the master planning of the project before any submittals for any type of improvements on the site would occur. So with that, City Council of the City of Hollister, staff recommends that the City Council of the City of Hollister approves the following motion. Adopt resolution number 2018-167 approving the environmental impact report and mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the Chapel Road area pre-zone. And 2, read by title only, waive full reading and introduce ordinance number 1157 through 1168, pre-zoning the property identified within the Chapel Road area, consisting of 17.43 acres to North Gateway Commercial and 100.29 acres into the low-density residential performance overlay zoning district. And 3, schedule a second reading and adoption of the ordinances for the August 6, 2008 City Council meeting. Thank you. Are there any questions for staff?
Oh, I have a lot of questions, but I'll let the other council members make their comments first. Or?
Sure.
No, go for it.
No? This is, if you go back to your picture there, I'm understanding by reading this, and if we go to the first item there, all of these have the residential overlay, low density, correct?
B2 and number 1, 2, and 3, and then from C through I, correct, except for A and B1, which is North Gateway Commercial.
A and B1. And which one is that on here? On our reports tonight.
On your reports tonight?
What reading, what item, resolution number?
The ordinances for the A
A and B1.
A1 ordinances number 1158. I'm sorry, it is actually 1157 is Lot A. That's ordinance 1157 is Lot A, correct? And then ordinance 1158 is B1. And those are North Gateway Commercial. Pre-zoning for North Gateway Commercial. B2 through I and numbers 1, 2, and 3 all have the overlay.
Everything else has the overlay.
Correct.
My issue has been this, as I mentioned a few years back, when we had issues as far as our agreement, property tax sharing agreement with the county, that we should not be approving anything else until we get that worked out. We still to this date have not worked it out. Every time we build a home, the county receives 75% of that. We receive 25% of the 13% that's given from the property tax. In no way is it in a situation that I think is beneficial to us. And I think in this area in particular, we need to be focused more on commercial rather than just building more homes. It's going to continue to create a problem for us, and we're going to find ourselves, as I keep saying, in a situation where we can't get ourselves out of it. I think we should be focused on the commercial, retail, not just taking every piece of property for more, especially with the low density type of homes. Vice Mayor Luna.
Abraham, looking at the F, to your left.
Sure.
That little area up above that is kind of circled. There's what is that?
It's a house.
Right above, right there.
Yeah, it's a house.
That area there, Councilmember Luna, is an existing single-family home, and that's actually within the city limits now. That way, it kind of the property line kind of zigzags, but that area is actually considered to be within the city limits already.
It's
and
already
it's a house.
there.
Correct.
Okay, so actually what you're asking us to do is look over this report tonight, and it's an environmental report, correct?
Correct, an environmental impact report.
If we are going to be looking at a time frame from the beginning of what we have taken action on, and you put your calendar back up where it shows that, I think it was what, in October last year? That the other one. You move forward.
Sorry,
Thank you. It's okay.
Okay, right there. April 20th of 2015. That's when all this work started with the EIR, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, if you look at October 20th, 2015, and you can estimate a time frame when actually all this work is done, all the approvals that have been done, and then it goes on to the final approval maybe for the second reading, and then it goes to LAFCO.
Correct.
What kind of time frame are we looking at before actually something is done in that property?
That's a good question, Councilmember Luna. If the second reading goes in August and it gets approved, then at that point, because it's an ordinance, there's a 30-day appeal period before it can actually get submitted to LAFCO. So then we're talking, sometime in September, if the applicant works diligently in providing the LAFCO application and everything that's required by LAFCO. So then everything gets submitted by LAFCO, and if LAFCO gets everything that is required, normally there's about an 8-week process through LAFCO before they can even schedule an item before LAFCO for annexation. So then we're probably talking about October, probably about the end of November, for it to be considered for annexation. And then at that point, it would be, if LAFCO decides to annex, sometime either like late November or December, we're thinking that possibly it can be annexed by the end of the year. And then at that time, come late in the year or early next year, we would be working with the applicant for the master planning of the site. So we're thinking as soon as, say, December for the actual master planning of the site, if the applicant decides to have an aggressive schedule for submittal. I do want to say that at this time, the numbers 1, 2, and 3, the lots on number 1, 2, and 3, and F and H are the only ones that have approached the city for an actual potential project. Again, we haven't seen any conceptuals or anything, but they're the ones that have, out of all of these, have been interested. And so before we get any of the applications from any of those lots, which can be as soon as, say, December of this year, we would have to work with the applicant to master plan that whole area. And that's a mitigation measure that's required per the environmental impact report.
Right. So really, we're looking at 2 years probably from now, right? If we really look at it, for anybody to seriously think about that there's going to be a commercial area there.
For this, it can be as soon as, a submittal can happen as soon as, say December or January. But then, the master planning of it could probably take another, 8 to 16 weeks or so. So that's another 2 to 6 months, which can bring us to probably June of next year. And then when they do get an entitlement for commercial, the city of Hollister gives them a 2-year approval. So then they have 2 years in order for them before they can submit to the building department for building permits. So
right, and the reason I bring this up, Abraham, is because I don't want the community thinking that there's more homes coming in right there, right now.
Correct.
Or within the next few months, because I think we're looking at an environmental report that is going to create commercial area that we direly need in this community, especially coming in from this route. Future school, we know we need the schools. Right. That's for sure. The affordable housing, how are we ever going to qualify for other funding if the city of Hollister does not have that affordable type of housing? So I just want to bring that up because I think it's important. And again, this is the introduction. This is the environmental report. It's not giving approval to any building right now.
That is correct,
and that's what I
Councilmember
want
Luna.
to emphasize.
That is correct. This is just for the pre-zoning. It's not even for the annexation. After this, it requires, if the city council does decide to adopt the ordinances in August, it would require another public hearing through LAFCO for the actual annexation. Right. This
Thank
is
you.
For no development. You're welcome.
Thank you. Councilmember Clare?
Yes. Abraham, does the proposed zoning for all the parcels match the existing general plan?
That is correct, Councilmember Clower. The general plan evaluates the city of Hollister city limits It evaluates the sphere of influence, which, as you know, is just outside of the city limits, and then it evaluates another area that's outside of the sphere of influence, identified as a planning area within the general plan. And so this area is outside of the city limits, of course, because it's being requested to be pre-zoned, but is within the planning area, and the planning area identifies Lot A and B1 as commercial, and as a commercial land use within the planning area, and the rest of the lots as LDR for low density residential. So the proposed pre-zone is consistent with the general plan land use.
Thank you. Can you give us a little idea of what that specific plan process looks like? Because I don't think we've ever done one, and I kind of wonder, in terms of planning commission, council, and public input, how that process works.
Absolutely, Councilmember Clower, and again, this is a great opportunity to actually do some good planning on this area, this quadrant of the city, being that it's partially the north gateway, one of the two entrances to the city of Hollister, and has the potential to meet a lot of the community's needs. So, as mentioned, we would not consider any development application pending pre-zoning of the project until we actually work with the applicant in providing a master planning for this whole area. One of the requirements that we're going to have for the applicant is to show us with an updated traffic study how that whole area is going to be, what is the expected circulation of that whole area connected to the existing circulation to the west, and then to show us what potential circulation can occur to the east of the project site. As you know, Hollister Highway 25 bypass is actually under the jurisdiction of Caltrans, and they're not going to allow any type of connection to Highway 25. So we're going to require an analysis, an in-depth analysis that show us, how there's going to be circulation throughout, and so we'll be working with the applicant at a staff level, reviewing these plans. We get together on a monthly basis with various departments throughout in the city of Hollister and the county, public works, police, fire, engineering. It's through a committee called the Development Review Committee, and we review these projects that come in on a monthly basis for comments, make sure that these proposals are meeting all of the requirements for each of the departments, and then for this master planning, we would be working directly with the Planning Commission, essentially informing them of the updates of the master planning. That's in essence, essentially for the master planning of the site would be staff and Planning Commission. If you require, as a council, a higher level, if you want to come back before it actually gets adopted, you can certainly make that request. The EIR mitigation measure essentially just indicates that the area should be master planned. So we would be working with the applicant, staff, the applicant, and Planning Commission. But you are, if you would like for it to come before the council as well, you may do so if you request to do so.
Thank you, Abraham. I remember reading the traffic impact fee study, and I don't know if it was in the final version of that. It was at least in a preliminary version that there was an overpass for Pacific Way going over the bypass. Is that still in that study, or was that removed?
It's in the study, Councilmember Clower. However, it does not identify an actual connection. It doesn't necessarily indicate that it's warranted, that it's required. However, as part of the master plan, we are going to require that supplemental traffic analysis to actually indicate if this would be the most efficient way to potentially have that connection to the east of the bypass from this area, and if so, what would be the requirements for actual improvements of that road, and whether it would require like a pro rata share from all these developments that are going to be impacted, not just future development of this site, but future developments of other areas, as in east of the bypass in the future, or any other areas that can potentially have that effect for that overpass if that traffic analysis would actually analyze if that's the most efficient way to require that connectivity from the project site to over the bypass.
Okay, and then my last question in the mitigation monitoring document, agricultural resources 3.2.1, it says that for every acre of prime farmland that is permanently converted to non-agricultural use as a result of the project development, 1 acre of land of comparable ag productivity shall be preserved in perpetuity. Does that take place in San Benito County, or can they bank that anywhere?
You're right. The mitigation measure requires the city of Hollister currently does not have a land conservation mitigation in place. So, because it is within the sphere of influence outside of the city limits, we know that the county does have some type of land conservation. So, we require that at least a 1-for-1 acre ratio be implemented, and that would be within the county of San Benito that we would require that land conservation to be in perpetuity to address the mitigation of the prime ag being used. Of course, there is no. It can be mitigated even if it was 5 acres to 1. It would be a mitigation measure. However, it's an unavoidable significant impact. Future development of prime ag cannot there's no mitigation that can be good enough to mitigate it completely. So that is part of the statement of overriding significance. That's part of this EIR. However, there is an attempt to at least address it, and it's at a 1-to-1 ratio. They're gonna have to look at an area in the county to be able to work with that property owner and bank it in perpetuity prior to a development of the parcel in this area.
Okay, thank you, Abraham.
You're welcome, Councilman McClure.
Is there any other questions? Just want to get clarification on this item, because are we going to be voting on each item separately as we do a public hearing for each ordinance?
Unfortunately, yes, because it's there's a first reading, so you'll open up a public hearing for each one separately.
Okay. So I just want to thank you for that. So in other words, it would be Resolution 218-167 ordinance, whatever, like in this case 1157 for this item. And next item would be same thing, but ordinance number as follows.
That's correct.
Okay. Just want to make sure. And Councilmember Friend.
I just want to make sure I'm clear. Ordinance 167 approves the EIR. Then you move down to the next item, which is the separate items for each parcel, correct?
Yes, you'll take the items consecutively. Each one, you'll hold a public hearing for each separate ordinance number.
Correct.
Okay. And just clarification from you again.
Yes.
Item 1157 is the commercial.
Item 1157 is commercial, and item 1158 is
Well,
commercial.
1158 is showing low density. That's why I'm asking you that question again.
That's correct,
No,
Mr.
but it
Mayor.
does say low density residential performance on it, so I want to make sure.
That's
there's-
correct, because the Highway 25 bypass splits that property. B1 to the north is the North Gateway, and the B2 to the south is the low density residential. That was how it was identified in the land use map of the general plan. So that's how it was pre-zoned. So that ordinance actually shows the pre-zoning as 3.44 acres for North Gateway and 9.06 acres as low density residential.
So the two are combined.
The two are combined because it's one lot. Yes.
Okay.
It's just split by the bypass.
Okay. At this time, we're going to open public hearing. Do we have any speakers on ordinance or the resolution 218-167, ordinance number 1157?
Yes, we do. It's
No.
resolution number.
Wait, let's hang on a second. I'm here.
167
167 first.
period.
Okay.
Then we go down to
That's what you were pointing at? Okay, no, actually, it's for both of these items. Am I correct? I see the public hearing. Both of those are listed on that.
I would recommend you do the resolution 2018-167 first, and then move forward to the first reading of ordinance 1157.
Then we'll hold the public hearing, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so before we go to public hearing, I'm going to close what I said, okay? We're going to go back and deal with resolution number 2018-167.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve 2018-167.
I will second that.
Wait.
That's fine. I would recommend, and the city manager just also mentioned that it would be helpful if we asked to see if there was any public comment on the EIR.
Right.
All right.
But specifically the EIR.
But specifically the EIR.
Right, this is not under a public hearing, though. Okay. Do we have any speaker cards on that item?
Yes, there's 2 speaker cards for E5. First is Marty Richmond, if it's about the EIR.
No, my speaker card, the way it's listed, is very confusing. Please excuse me. I see you're confused too.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
We're all even. My speaker card is not on the EIR. It is on all the rest.
Okay. Each ordinance. Okay. Do we have any speaker cards?
So for resolution number 2018-167, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Hollister approving the environmental impact report and mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the Chapel Road area pre-zone, we have possibly 2 speaker cards, the first being Victor Gomez.
Excuse me. Honorable Mayor, members of the council, Victor Gomez here representing the applicants who initiated the environmental impact report. I came prepared to speak on everything. I'm going to do my best to stay focused on the EIR, but I apologize ahead of time if I do get tied up into some of the pre-zoning. So first, we want to thank you. We want to thank staff for the work on this EIR. Staff has been great to work with, as always. On April 20th, 2015, the Hollister City Council adopted Resolution 2015-79, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Hollister approving the initiation of Pre-Zone 2015-1 and Sphere of Influence Amendment 2015-1 to initiate the pre-zoning and expansion of the Sphere of Influence. The April 20th, 2015 vote on Resolution 2015-79 was supported and unanimously approved by Mayor Velasquez and the City Council. We appreciated the Council's unanimous support of the pre-zone application and initiation of the EIR, as you understood that the project was 100% consistent with the City's general plan and has been identified with the bypass now in place as an infill project. In August of 2015, the City released the RFP in preparation of the environmental impact report, and a proposal was accepted. The work on the EIR continued, and in October of 2017, the draft environmental impact report was circulated for public comment. The Planning Commission in April reviewed and unanimously voted to send the document to the City Council for adoption. And after 3.5 years of work on this project, the final EIR is now here in front of you for certification. So thank you once again, Council, for your leadership, for unanimous support. As Councilmember Luna mentioned, we still have a long way to go. This initiates the process, but we're happy to see the city moving forward in a well-thought-through manner, including both commercial and a residential balance for this area. I'm here representing the applicant, so if you folks have any questions, feel free to let me know. Thank you.
Okay. Any speakers?
Savon?
Hello and good evening. I want to say my community of champions, but I see compassionate people and people here that are starting new businesses and things like that, because I have a lot of things to say. I know I missed a month of the city council meetings, and I've seen a lot has happened. The denying of the money for the district downtown got denied and stuff like that. But anyhow, so this one, is this making sure this man was he pitching an idea to put more residents here and commercial things? I mean, is that what it is? I didn't really catch it, just caught the end of it. And I think that's what I was catching. More residents, more residential, more residents, more residential. That means more homes. That means more things of people being here. That doesn't mean any things of excitement or entertainment at all. It just means more people here being bored and nothing to do. The excitement downtown is coming because I just seen a new business open right next to the Epic Center. Wow. Awesome. Bravo. Hands down. Awesome. Making downtown an area of luxury already. It's coming. It's here. And I just speak of this because I want our city council, my mayor, my honorable mayor, to know that, more houses ain't going to make the things better for Hollister. We need things of entertainment, things that tourists will want to come and see and visit. We need things like that. And Hollister can be that place. San Benito County and all that. We can have a real big little tour destination when people are looking on the venues of tourism from another country, coming here to tour and, do things of that nature. The downtown is here. Everything is here. We just need to put it into motion. And I speak about this because I don't want to see more homes here. Not yet. Not yet. Not until we have enough entertainment where people are begging to build houses here. At the door, ready to build whatever. And we got people like celebrities even coming out here and breathing vineyards out in the San Benito County, which has the best weather in the nation. I just want to make sure this is not more homes. I'm just making sure. And that's what I want to speak about. If every time I come up here, it's about no more homes, entertainment. We're here. The people innovation are here as well. I just want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
No, Mr. Mayor.
No. Okay. So is there a motion for resolution number 218-167?
I already made it.
I second it.
We had to have a speaker, so if you can read your motion.
I will make the motion that we approve item 218-167.
Thank you.
Second.
There's a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
No. 3-1. We can go to item. We'll now open up to public hearing for ordinance number 1157.
We should probably bring in Councilmember.
I was just going to make a suggestion, and I'm sorry for interrupting Councilman Clower. I went in there to check with Councilman Gilio. 1165 and 1167 is a potential for him. So if we can do those next, and then get those two out of the way, then we can bring him back out for the rest of them. Good.
So he only has a conflict
on two properties that are related to the map.
1165.
Ordinance number 1165 and ordinance number 1167. So it would be APN 019350006, and then the second one would be 019350009. So if we could do those next, that would be helpful.
Okay. So we're going to move then to open public hearing on ordinance number 1165. Do we have any speakers on 1165? I think Marty said he was going to speak on each of them, correct? No?
Just one. So.
We went to 1167.
6.5. We're on 6.5, you said?
1165.
Read by title only, waive full reading, and introduce ordinance number 1165, an ordinance pre-zoning the property identified as APN 019350006, consisting of 5 acres to R1 LPZ, low-density residential performance overlay zone. We have one speaker, Mr. Mayor, Marty Richmond.
Thank you.
I will officially address number 1165, but I would appreciate if you consider that my remarks actually apply to all of it, okay? Because I'm not going to come up here every time. So anyway, the words master plan were used a lot during this presentation, but there's more to master planning than just looking at the site. You've got to pull back and look at the entire city. And I would like to see us to start master planning the city, not just master planning sites, because that's some of the problems we've got into. If you would listen to the briefing from the staff, we've got all these checks and balances, and we've had many times where they didn't work. And they didn't work because we're looking through a microscope and we only see what's in front of us rather than taking a step back. I am disappointed, for instance, the presentation doesn't include a big map to show the whole city where this is, and how it relates to everything else in the city, which may be in its favor or maybe against it. I don't know because I haven't analyzed it from that. I do think the mayor's comments concerning the tax sharing agreement are significant. I would like to speak a little truth here that's not often said in these public meetings, which is the county of San Benito doesn't give a damn whether they ever get this thing straightened out or not, as long as they get their money up front. So they're going to hold a gun to the head of all these developers and say, you pay me my whatever the number is, 8,000, 11,000, 9,000, it keeps changing for each unit. And once you give me that and I get 75% of the property tax forever, I could care less if it again annexed. They've made a political decision that they're going to dump all the housing into Hollister, whether they have to build it 50 miles away and redraw the city lines. I don't think that's the way we should allow them to do that. So they're holding a gun to the head of the developer, and then the developer comes in and twists the arm on everybody on the city council. Well, I think we ought to start pushing back a little bit. And we ought to say, look, guys, if you want to get anything annexed from now on, you get this tax sharing agreement done between us and you. It's supposed to be an agreement, not you tell us how much money you want, you get it. It's an agreement. You get the agreement done, we're willing to move forward with annexations. If you don't get the agreement done, we'll let the developers go yell at you for a while about it. And I don't care if you ask them for $9,000, $20,000, or $100,000 per unit. It isn't going to make any difference because we're not going to annex it. That's the only leverage we got. So the mayor and I have bumped heads a lot on development, and we've been on other sides of the road. In this case, I happen to agree with him. I think we ought to move forward with the commercial, and we ought to tell the county, if you want us to start looking at taking more housing, and you want to dump that on us, you have got to come to the table and fix that tax sharing agreement, because without it, there's no deal. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
There's no more speakers.
Okay. This time I will close public hearing. Is there a motion on ordinance number 1165?
Motion to approve?
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No. Is it 3 ayes? Motion carries 3-1. We're going to move now to ordinance number 1167. Did you want to read that out, or?
Read by title only, waive full reading, and introduce ordinance number 1167, an ordinance pre-zoning the property identified as APN 019-350-009, consisting of 4.91 acres to R1 LPZ, low-density residential performance overlay zone.
Okay.
We have no speakers, Mr. Mayor.
This time I'm going to open the public hearing, and then we'll. Now you can tell me there's no speakers.
There's no speakers.
Okay, this time we're going to close public hearing.
We have a public speaker.
Oh, we do have a. I'm sorry. Actually, you waved it before I closed this. Come up ahead.
We had no speaker cards, Mr. Mayor.
I'll fill it out for you. Richard Ferrer, 1131 Union Heights. I just like to follow up on one thing Marty says. This parcel, the location of it, is 2 blocks from the post office. It's closer to the city hall than 75% of the city of Hollister houses. It's closer than 90% of all the houses to the police department. This is infilled. This is something that should be brought into the city, and this is where to build. Instead of building and Marty was right, and letting the county build in the houses out there, and we're providing the service, or the city's providing the services for it, This is something that should be brought into the city, and this is where to build. The commercial area there and the housing is there. And this is, if you look at a map, this is closer to downtown than 80% of the houses that in Hollister. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, this time we're going to close public hearing.
We have one more
We
speaker.
do have. Okay.
Zavon.
I just like to take a moment. Because, okay, look at it. The house thing, I guess, looked like no one's going to win here. I mean, the houses are going to be built, honestly. Then can we get these places to build something cool about it than just dump a bunch of houses in Hollister and bounce? Can we get them to build like, I seen this place in another city. They're building a place called Innovation. That place, those contractors there, because I know some contractors here can do the same thing. They're building a school, a playground, everything so the place is one whole community. Why can't we get some of that then? Why can't we get something really cool instead of people just building houses and there you go? Some of these places don't even clean up after them. Sunnyside Village needs a new paint job around that whole thing. They could put the words back too because they look kind of tired out and stuff. But it just messes us up for ever becoming a class of something of a status of being of a high level place to come and visit. I'm saying that, if we're going to have something come here, because the house things looks like we're not going to win. I mean, the houses are coming. I guess they're coming. So what can we have to make sure that the contractors are on their P's and Q's? Because I know a lot of them here are. I know brilliant men are honestly contractors as well. And why can't they build something like that? The place is called Innovation. It builds everything in its own community. Bring something innovative here. Why don't build a park or have some kind of something, not just leave a bunch of houses and build something of innovation, difference. They're coming to build homes. People can build homes on their own. I mean, come on. It don't take that much just to put a little bit of innovation in it, a little bit of an imagination to make it more of a different stamp. Hollister could be that. We're so small right now. It's going to be late though soon if we build all these homes and nothing is here, and the property that was once cool to build a cool spot is gone, and there's houses now there. I'm telling you because it's honest. We've already lost a lot of cool little areas that we should have kept for Hollister. They're gone already. Things that were meant monumental, and they're cool. Moments that people there, probably some of you, walked and cherished moments together there at that spot. Now is a place of going to be residential homes. So fast taken away from something that took so long to get there. That's what I want Hollister to understand is I care about this city so much. That's why I don't go nowhere. Because I feel that enough my voice is heard. People that can make it happen. And they make the changes that make the difference that come here to San Benito County. I'm saying that because I care. If houses are going to come, fine, we can't beat it. Then make them do something different. Bring not just homes or parks even. Bring something innovative. Something new, something that people would want to come and live here for. People with brilliance. Why can't we get the consumer to look past San Jose even and come here instead? Because the place here is so brilliant itself, bringing everything of brilliance, because it's all around me. Good doctors, all that will come here if the place here is environmentally and recreationally safe for their kids. I mean, what kind of good doctor is going to want to come from Stanford to here and they don't even have a rec center? You got to have a place, the environment has to be awesome for the doctor to Stanford to come here to this medical facility. Say, wow, that's actually a good place. They have a cool rec center. They got all these awesome parks. And they got this really cool thing that me and my kids do in the summer. It can happen. It can happen here before it's too late. Honestly, the more people, what's going to happen? I mean, I don't know. I can visit only so many a day.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other speakers? Okay, this time we're going to close public hearing. Is there a motion on ordinance number 1167?
Motion to approve ordinance 1167.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No. Okay, we're going to go back to. Want to bring Mr. Gilio out? Okay, we're going to go back to ordinance number 1157. I'm sorry? It's page 10. Jim. We're there?
Read. Okay. Read by title only, waive full reading, and introduce ordinance 1157, an ordinance pre-zoning the property identified as APN 330005, consisting of 13.99 acres, to North Gateway Commercial.
Thank you. This time we're going to open public hearing. Do we have any speakers on this item?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, this time we're going to close public hearing. Is there a motion on ordinance number 1157?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. And now we're going to move to ordinance number 1158.
Read by title only, waive full reading, and introduce ordinance 1158, an ordinance pre-zoning the property identified as APN 019-330-011, consisting of 12.5 acres, to North Gateway Commercial on 3.44 acres of north of State Route 25, Hollister Bypass, and to R1 LPZ, Low Density Residential Performance Overlay Zone on 9.06 acres south of State Route 25, Hollister Bypass.
Thank you. Do we have, we're going to open it for a public hearing now? Do we have any speakers?
There's no speakers.
Okay, this time we're going to close public hearing. Is there a motion from council?
So moved.
There's a motion.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No. 4-1. We're going to move to ordinance number 1159.
Read by title only, waive full reading, and introduce ordinance number 1159, an ordinance pre-zoning the property identified as APN 019-170-083, consisting of 2.45 acres, to R1 LPZ, Low Density Residential Performance Overlay Zone.
Okay, this time we're going to open public hearing. Do we have any speakers?
No.
This time we'll close public hearing. Is there a motion from council?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No. 4-1. Okay, we're going to move to ordinance number 1160.
Read by title only, waive full reading, and introduce ordinance number 1160, an ordinance pre-zoning the property identified as APN 019-170-084, consisting of 15.99 acres, to R1 LPZ, Low Density Residential Performance Overlay Zone.
Okay, this time we're going to open public hearing. Do we have any speakers?
No.
This time we'll close public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, make a couple comments. I was not around for the rest of it, so I'm not sure exactly what was said, and I don't want to risk duplicating everything that was said, but I'd like to make a couple comments if I may. So this general area here, and again, I apologize because I wasn't here. I don't want to waste too much time. I'll make some very quick comments. This general area here is where we would like to see the city head in the North Gateway area. Provides easy access to a lot of different areas. The commercial. You guys are looking at me like you've already all heard this.
Yeah,
so
we sure did.
Very
nice presentation.
Say one real quick. So a great mix of commercial and industrial. Commercial and residential. It's a contiguous growth, so it's not leapfrog growth. I think what's going to be very important as future councils consider housing here is that they ensure that they hold the folks accountable here that want to build and make sure we get all the improvements done to the roadways, to the sidewalks, to all those different things to make sure that there's a continuous connection as potential building happens in the future. So you can walk all the way up to that. I'm holding up a map here that has a corner of San Felipe and Highway 25, so you can walk all the way up to that commercial piece without having to walk in the dirt or the mud to make sure that those things are done right. And what we're doing tonight is just the very first step that council actually started in 2015 allowing these folks to go out and get their EIR and consider development for this spot. And I'll keep it very brief because I know you guys have probably already said all this, but thank you for the time.
Okay, we've closed public hearing. Is there a motion on ordinance number 1160?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
No? 4-1. We're going to move to ordinance number 1161.
Read by title only, waive full reading, and introduce ordinance number 1161, an ordinance pre-zoning the property identified as APN 019-350-008, consisting of 6.25 acres to R1 LPZ, low-density residential overlay zone.
Okay, at this time we're going to open public hearing. Do we have any speakers?
No, Mr. Mayor.
This time we're going to close public hearing. Is there a motion on ordinance number 1161?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I think the vice mayor got you on that one.
Okay.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No? 4-1. We're going to move to ordinance number 1162.
Read by title only, waive full reading, and introduce ordinance number 1162, an ordinance pre-zoning the property identified as APN 019-350-011, consisting of 9.16 acres to R1 LPZ, low-density residential performance overlay zone.
This time we're going to open public hearing. Do you have any speakers?
No, Mr. Mayor.
This time we'll close public hearing. Is there a motion on ordinance number 1162?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No? 4-1. Yes. Friend Carson. We're going to move to ordinance number 1163. Correct.
Read by title only, waive full reading, and introduce ordinance number 1163, an ordinance pre-zoning the property identified as APN 019-350-012, consisting of 13.97 acres to R1 LPZ, low-density residential performance overlay zone.
Okay, this time we're going to open public hearing. Do we have any speakers?
No, Mr. Mayor.
This time we will close public hearing. Is there a motion for ordinance number 1163?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No. 4-1. We'll move to ordinance number 1164.
Read by title only, waive full reading, and introduce ordinance number 1164, an ordinance pre-zoning the property identified as APN 019-350-013, consisting of 22.49 acres to R1 LPZ, low-density residential performance overlay zone.
Okay, this time we're going to open the public hearing. Do you have any speakers?
No.
This time we will close public hearing. Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
No? 4-1. Ordinance 1165 we have completed. We're going to move to ordinance number 1166.
Read by title only, waive full reading, and introduce ordinance 1166, an ordinance pre-zoning the property identified as APN 019-350-010, consisting of 4.91 acres to R1 LPZ, low-density residential performance overlay zone.
Okay, at this time we're going to open public hearing. Do we have any speakers?
No.
This time we will close public hearing. Is there a motion on ordinance number 1166?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. Ordinance number 1167 we've completed. Ordinance number 1168.
Read by title only, waive full reading, and introduce ordinance number 1168, an ordinance pre-zoning the property identified as APN 019-350-014, consisting of 6.10 acres to R1 LPZ, Low Density Residential Performance Overlay Zone.
Okay, this time we're going to open a public hearing. Is there any speakers?
No.
Okay, this time we will close public hearing. Is there a motion on ordinance number 1168?
So moved.
There's a motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
No? 4-1.
Before we move on, can we take 5?
I think that completes it. And it's all right with the council. We'll take a 5-minute break.
Great. Even if it's not all right.
You got it. No, stop.
Did it address this piece here too? Thanks. Got it. Commercial.
Sorry.
We actually were trying to get her at 6:30. This won't turn out.
Wait, you mean total trip or just in Arizona? You just 400 miles. You live 400 miles in Arizona.
No, it's all going to be positive. There's only one person going to be pissed. And he has to recluse himself. Hey, you going to be there Thursday night? Mark? Okay, there's still sunshine left. Let's get this going.
Is that the goal tonight?
You know, I was up in Washington. It gets dark up in Washington, 10 o'clock at night. It's still daylight.
Yeah, the further north you go, the more.
Of course, it's right at 5, too.
All right, we're going to resume the meeting now and move to item E6.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. Renee Perales from Development Services. The purpose of this public hearing is to review and approve the proposed five-year capital improvements project program for fiscal years 2018-19 to 2022-23. The five-year CIP program consists of the following for fiscal year 18-19: 4 drainage projects, 13 facility improvement projects, 4 streets and roads projects, 3 wastewater projects, and 2 water projects. The total to complete these projects is estimated to be, for 18-19, $20,215,890. For fiscal year 19-20, we have 11 facility improvement projects and 1 wastewater project. The total to complete these projects is estimated to be $7,590,200. Staff recommends that we open a public hearing, receive comments from the public, close a public hearing. Additionally, staff recommends that the City Council adopt the 5-year capital improvement projects program for fiscal years 2018-19 to 2022-23 and approve the appropriations for fiscal years 18-19 and 19-20.
Okay, any questions from council?
Real quick, Mr. Mayor. If I may. Go ahead. Mr. City Manager, does this include the change with the storm drain at Hawkins, Hayden area? Or is
Yes,
that
we
future?
we pushed back the storm drain at Hawkins to I can't remember the other street, close to Nash. At the same time, we were doing that we're proposing to do the water line.
Okay.
So that those two that project can become one.
Okay.
Economies of scale and only tearing up the street once.
Thank you very much.
Okay. This time we're going to open it to public hearing.
We have no speakers.
Okay, well, let me open it.
Oh, sorry.
And then we'll verify that.
We have no speaker cards.
Okay. This time we'll close public hearing. Okay, is there a motion from council?
So moved.
Second. There's a motion. I heard a second.
Second.
Oh, Flower? Okay.
Okay.
Brittany Flower. That was surround sound there. All right, there's a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you.
5-0 vote. We'll move to item F1.
No, that's right.
Who's in charge of this?
I'm looking over there to see if somebody wants to do it or not.
Oh, that's me.
Let me ask the question. Is this including a 400 block issue?
Yes.
Okay, so this time I'm going to recuse myself from any participation and pass the gavel to the Vice Mayor.
Are you ready? Okay. All right.
This item is being brought before you because we received the Attorney General's, we received from the Office of the Attorney General, State of California, opinion number 17702, which stated that this referendum, that this resolution 2017-139 was not subject to a referendum. With that information now, I submit to you a resolution to repeal on October 2nd, 2017, the City Council approved resolution number 2017-246, a resolution submitting to the qualified voters of the City of Hollister at the regular municipal election to be consolidated with the statewide general election on November 6, 2018. A referendum measure regarding resolution number 2017-139, a referendum against a resolution passed by the City Council. At that time, an opinion 17-702 was requested of the Office of the Attorney General, State of California. Does the power of referendum apply to a resolution by the City of Hollister approving the execution of an agreement to sell real property for developing pursuant to an approved long-range property management plan for disposing a dissolved redevelopment agency's property? The conclusion was the City of Hollister's resolution approving the execution of an agreement to sell real property for development pursuant to an approved plan for disposing a dissolved redevelopment agency's property is not subject to referendum. So therefore, I have brought to you a resolution that will repeal the prior resolution that we passed to take this to election, and I seek direction.
Okay. At this time, we'll open it up for council. Any commentaries from the City Council on the resolution? And that would be 2018-169, correct? Any comments from the City Council?
After 30 years, I think it's time to put shovels in the dirt.
Yeah, Madam Vice Mayor, if I could hold my comments till after the public speaks, they may cover some of the things that I want to say, and we don't have to say them twice. Thank you.
Okay, and I ask of the legal opinion. It is under F1, which is introduction and adoption of resolutions and ordinance. It does not state it is a public hearing. Clarification on that, please.
Yes, it's not a public hearing per se. However, you do have the right to, and I recommend that there be public comments, that it be opened up to the public.
Okay. Thank you for the opinion. And at this time, I'd like to go ahead and open it up to the public. And I will gavel that open. Do you have any comments? Anyone making a comment?
Okay. So item F1, resolution number 2018-169, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Hollister repealing resolution number 2017-246, a resolution submitting to the qualified voters of the City of Hollister at the regular municipal election to be consolidated with the statewide general election on November 6, 2018, a referendum measure regarding resolution number 2017-139, a referendum against a resolution passed by the City Council. The first speaker we have is Bob Tiffany.
Okay.
Right out the gate. Good evening, council members. I'm Bob Tiffany, longtime resident, business owner, also president of the Business Council. I've been up here many times talking about the 400 block project, so I won't belabor it, and I'll keep it short. Just as council member friend just said, it's been almost 30 years. It's time that we move forward. This is a great project. It's not just a good project. It's a great project to supporting nonprofits in the community as well as local builder who's putting in, a nice commercial and condos that will be beneficial to the downtown. And with the Philanthropy Center, that will be a huge boost to the people most in need in this community. It's also going to revitalize downtown. At any rate, this never should have been on the ballot in the first place. The Attorney General has confirmed that. It's time to move forward. So I strongly urge you to repeal Resolution 2017-246 and remove the referendum from the November ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
Phil Fortino.
Hello again, council members. Thank you for having us. And I'm Phil Fortino. I am the current chair of the Community Foundation Board, serving over 200 nonprofits in San Benito County. And I too urge you to pull the referendum off the ballot. This proposal that you accepted back in October of last year provides the most desirable type of buildings for downtown Hollister, coveted by most cities across the state. Commercial space on the ground floor with residential above, mixed use, complemented by a philanthropic center, 3-story philanthropic center, architecturally beautiful, that has, of course, the headquarters for the Community Foundation, but also will house up to 9 other nonprofits, as well as multiple meeting rooms and multiple gathering spaces. Again, these are exactly the type of residents that you want to attract to the downtown area that are serving the nonprofits of San Benito County. They're just, these are passionate people. And I urge you to, again, pull a referendum and allow this to happen to the 400 block and make use of that beautiful parking structure that was built many, many years ago specifically to build that 400 block back to residential and commercial activity in downtown Hollister. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
Gordon Machado.
Good evening. Speaking on behalf of the Hollister Downtown Association, we are organized just prior to the earthquake, and obviously from that day forward, we've been actively pursuing to bring back the commercial that was at that location prior to the earthquake. I think I'd like to emphasize one thing, that to go to the vote of the people for what we're talking about, I think some people have forgot that in November of 2008, there's an effort by the Downtown Association and a lot of other people to change the ordinance or exemption to an ordinance. At that time, there's 244 cap on housing allocations per year. And that Measure Y, voted by the people and passed by the people, was to exempt downtown Hollister to do commercial. Basically was to do it upstairs in some of the older buildings. And of course, that the 400 block was developed to do it on top of that, the condos. condos, I think, are one of those assets to downtown, where as assets to the community, to the younger people, where it's fairly limited in square footage normally. So it gives them the opportunity as a young couple coming home, or whatever the case may be. And of course, when the child comes and they start a family, they have the equity to sell that condo and come into our community in the normal higher square footage for their family to grow. So, but just want to emphasize that the public already voted that they want housing downtown. So this idea that they're mix housing up is not new and is voted by the people.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
Christina Chavez Wyatt.
Okay.
Good evening, Madam Vice Mayor, Council, neighbors. Christina Chavez Wyatt on behalf of the San Benito County Business Council to reiterate our vehement support for the City of Hollister's Resolution 2017-139 approving the execution of a development and disposition agreement between the City of Hollister and the Del Curto Brothers Group and the Community Foundation of San Benito County. If you would please provide me the opportunity to go to a few details. The Community Foundation Philanthropy Center will come to fruition with the generous support of a local donor, housing at least nine nonprofit agencies, 3 to 4 conference and meeting rooms, outdoor spaces for cultural events, fundraisers, receptions, and will be the hub of charitable activity in our community. The Philanthropy Center and Del Curto proposals will serve as keystones, major catalysts for downtown revitalization and economic development, similar to the Taylor corporate headquarters at downtown Salinas and Leal's Granada complex in downtown Morgan Hill. These investments will bring additional activity to our downtown during weekdays, supporting neighboring small businesses, restaurants, services, boutiques, our own local sales tax, and local jobs. The new infrastructure brought to that corner will help improve services for neighboring parcels, increasing property values, and provide a more welcoming entryway to our downtown from 4th Street West Gateway, which the city and county have planned, approved, and committed major funds to approve. The major thrust of the Hollister General Plan is for infill, mixed-use, new urbanism-style development and a preference for multifamily housing, which is also core infrastructure called out in the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy for San Benito County approved by the county and federal government earlier this year. Apartments and condos at all levels, market rate, workforce, affordable, are all in very high demand in our community. The Philanthropy Center, or a spot on the ground floor of the Del Curto building, will be a perfect fit for a satellite workspace, possibly in downtown Hollister, as a community alternative, small business incubator, a small business accelerator, possibly in cooperation with Gavilan College. The fees, parcel taxes from developing the 400-block parcel could be reinvestment into Dunn Park, McCarthy Park, etc. The proposal additionally supports our adopted downtown strategy plan, including creating a downtown vibrant core, reconstructing earthquake-damaged buildings, redeveloping sites resulting from earthquake or fire, strengthening and rehabilitating landmark buildings, encouraging uses that generate nighttime activity, enhancing entrances to downtown, maximizing opportunities for in-town housing, encouraging a retail housing mix along San Benito Street, and providing public streetscape improvements. Additionally, the proposal supports the city's long-range property management plan. Downtown strategy and plan identified the vacant lots of the 400 block as an opportunity to assemble property and facilitate development of a large development project with multi-use building, retail, cinema, housing. And finally, the City of Hollister has continually received unanimous council and planning commission votes for the redevelopment and restoration of this property for the past 27 years. Thank you very much for your support this evening.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
Marty Richmond.
Good evening, Marty Richmond from Hollister. So I was in full agreement until she said Gavilan College, and I had to back out. But I am in agreement. Here's my point. It is not about the 400 block. The decision the AG sent down is not about the 400 block. It didn't address any of the issues concerning the 400 block. What it addressed something more important, which is the principle of representative democracy. We elected you to act on our behalf. If every administrative decision you make could be challenged by referendum, we would never be able to do anything, because to get the referendum on the ballot only needs a minority of the people, not a majority of the people. You don't need 50% of the voters to get it on the ballot. So if we allowed this to happen, no matter what you think about the 400 block development, whether you're for it or against it, if we allowed this to happen, any group that doesn't represent the majority could force every decision you make, from the color pencils you use to the brand of laptop you buy, onto the referendum of the ballot, and you know what elections would look like in that case. So we're entitled to, under certain circumstances, to disagree with you officially by forcing certain processes to the ballot. This is not one of them. You aren't even acting on your own behalf. You're acting as an agency of the state concerning the RDA, and you were instructed to get rid of the property. It's that simple, to turn it into money, okay? And so the state could help that reduce the bond debt that the RDA still owes, and we all know that. So that's the important principle. Not that how it turns out isn't important, that is very important. But the much larger principle is we can't be forced to take every decision to the ballot. If we could, nothing would ever get done. So I urge you to take this off the ballot, because that I respect the legal opinion of the AG, and it is just an opinion, but I respect that he's thinking of the big picture, and that's what counts the most. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Marty. Any other?
Robert Rodriguez.
Okay.
Good evening, Councilman and Councilwoman. I'm Robert Rodriguez. I support the development, and with the Curl Brothers, they do hire local contractors. I'm an HVAC contractor, and they always reach out for locals. Like other developers come in here, and they say they're going to hire locals, they don't. Not only that, but also think of the tax revenue you're going to get from some property taxes back to and the sales from all the commercial business. So I support that you take that repeal to 2017 139 off the ballot and support development. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other?
There's no more speaker cards.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your comments, and we'll bring this back to council level. Any other commentaries from the council?
I would like to make some comments, if
Yes.
that's okay.
Go
I'm
ahead.
going to make some comments, and I'd ask the city manager to stop me and correct me if you hear anything that's incorrect. I appreciate that. Thanks. So, right when I started on the council, this was an issue that was at the forefront of public concern. So I went out and I did a lot of things. I communicated with the Downtown Association, the Chamber of Commerce, the Business Council. We hosted a meeting here in this room, outreach, and I got to tell you that there was a lot of confusion over this, and I hate to think that it was purposeful, but there was a lot of folks that didn't quite understand what the scope of the project was. We actually had a person here in public comment speak and say these words. She said something very similar to, if this project was mixed, she didn't use the words mixed use, but she said if it was places you could live on the top and places you can buy stuff on the bottom, that would be a great project. That would be something I support, but I can't support it, and I signed the petition because it's not. And it is. That's what the project is. So there was a lot of information out there that was not entirely accurate. Backing up, I went out and did a ton of research. Obviously 1989, we had an earthquake. Bad things happened. We had Judy's Fabrics, Ball's Photography, New China Cafe, Bill's Bullpen, Sunrise Plaza, Maddox Jewelers, Morrow Stationery. We're all on that area there. And in 1991, we had the downtown strategic plan that was already addressed by Ms. Chavez-Wyatt, so I don't need to go back into that. All the things that the downtown plan said we should do, this does. In between 1992 and between about 2009, right before the recession, there was about 6 or so plans to do different things down there. We had thoughts of doing a movie theater. We had thoughts of a restaurant, retail, a hotel, Center for the Performing Arts, the Arts Center, all kinds of stuff was proposed to go there. And for various reasons, these items did not come to fruition, unfortunately, and the lot sat vacant. And then in 2011, thank you for that. And then in 2011, that's awesome. In 2011, the governor, Jerry Brown, at the time, right, said we need to shut down RDAs because the state needs money, so sell all your RDA property. And they were forcing us to get rid of our property. And they were they gave us kind of an exception because we were in economic downturn, and they said, we don't expect you to sell your property at a fire sale, so, have a little bit of time. That pressure started coming on a little bit stronger come in 2015. So in 2015, what the city did is they sent out an RFQ or RFP to the world, basically, and said, hey, bring us your grandest ideas for the 400 block. We'd like to consider them. And at that point, this is where I might need the help from the city manager just a little bit to make sure I have it right. I believe the Community Foundation came in with the only application, or was it the Del Curto brothers, Mr. City Manager? Do I have it backwards?
They both came in separately, and then they combined.
Okay. But the point I'm making is that there was that was it for applications, right? There wasn't
Right.
a stack of
No.
ideas about taco trucks and all these different things. There was that was it. So importantly is that was in 2015, and there was an appraisal done in 2015 because as you start dealing with real estate, you need to have some sort of basis for negotiations to plan the project. So this idea, and there's been a lot of conversations about two different appraisals. The whole thought is the negotiation was based off of the 2015 appraisal because that's when we sent the proposal out. You had to have a price in there. Hey, this is what we need to get for the property, and base your budget on what we need to get on it. That's why you see that number. So we went through the whole process. The Del Curto brothers and the Community Foundation, I am, in my humble opinion, have a beautiful idea and project for that. It's super important. Everybody said it here, but super important. We have open space. We have community rooms that are going to be available. I've been told by the Community Foundation, anybody that wants to use them. Outdoor space. We have, I believe it's between 12 and 20 condos on the top of the building. We have mixed-use retail down below. And it's planned out to connect with the parking garage. The parking garage is built to support development on that project. So this isn't something that one day, the point I'm trying to make here, this isn't something that one day the council decided, you know what, we're going to take this area and just build a bunch of condos down there. This was a very thoughtful process, and there's a lot to the project, and we should be proud of the community support that we have for this project. Some folks have been vilified, and these folks are donating millions of dollars to our community to build this beautiful project. And if you want to vilify somebody, come after us, the elected officials. Don't come after the folks that are donating and building this beautiful project, because they don't deserve that, frankly. And with all that being said, if nobody else on the council has any comments, I would like to be able to make the motion.
Yeah, we still have some comments. Go ahead, Councilman.
Well, my comment is with great pleasure. I'd like to make a motion to repeal resolutions 2017-246 with resolution 218-169.
Okay.
And that feels real good.
Any
That's
comments?
a real deal.
I'll second that if there's no other comments, Madam Vice Mayor.
Yeah, and I do have a comment because after all, I don't have to repeat everything that I've said before because I was working at City Hall. I was on, Adela Gonzalez and I were the only two here when an earthquake hit and we didn't know how to get out of this building. But the fact is that 37,000 population is the city of Hollister, and a referendum requires that 1,600 people actually make that decision for everybody else. And it's true when actually the conclusion, of the Attorney General is that the City of Hollister's resolution approving the execution of an agreement to sell real property for development pursuant to approved plan for disposing a dissolved redevelopment agency property is not subject to a referendum. And also, in addition to that, a potential savings to the city of Hollister for not putting that item on the ballot is going to save the city of Hollister $25,000 to $30,000. And I hope that people really look at that and understand. They call us on a savings of maybe $3,000 that the city, that they don't believe, people don't believe that the city should have spent. We were going to spend up to $30,000 because 1,600 people signed a referendum. So from now on, I'm really hoping that people understand what a referendum really is. Because as I was approached during that referendum, people were telling me they signed it because of housing. It wasn't because of housing. And one thing that I've always told our city manager is next time we have an empty lot, don't put lawn on it. Because people think it's a park. And this shouldn't be a park. So with that, there's a motion on the floor.
And a second.
With us, Ray Friend, our council member Ray Friend, a second with Jim Gillio. And now I call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
It's mine.
Okay, we're going to move to F2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Mr. City Manager, sorry to interrupt you. I need to recuse myself. One of the original applicants was a customer of ours. Even though they're not in the system anymore, I got to recuse. Sorry.
Hey, Brian. I just wanted to shut the door. Good. Loud. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Tonight is the culmination of many months of work between the three jurisdictions and the regional agency on preparing a new franchise agreement for the city of Hollister. The selection committee and the review board, as well as the city council and the board of supervisors, made several recommendations to the regional agency to prepare a new franchise agreement that's expected to start on November 1st of 2018 and incorporate some milestones and some performance measures that we haven't had in the past. So a few of those is basically, I can run through them real quickly, is additional outreach to all the commercial agencies or businesses that are out there to do a better job at doing some diversion. We've asked that we modify our proposed original rates for commercial so that there wasn't as big of a subsidy to the residential ratepayers, but yet they're still going to be receiving a benefit. We are going to, Recology is implementing some operational changes to minimize sort of the carbon footprint of the business and how it relates to the San Benito County. We're going to have updates to the governing boards on the diversion rates. Where Recology is going to set up a temporary office here in Hollister. Within the first year to provide a local office. As you know, their yard or facility is actually just outside of Gilroy. And then the second part of tonight's resolution, with the adoption of this resolution to execute the franchise agreement, is authorizing the release of a 218 process. That 218 process would be the mailing of, very similar to what we just went through with the sewer rates. We would have a public hearing scheduled for October 1st here at City Hall. And then assuming that goes well, then again, the rates would be implemented. The new rates would be implemented on November 1st, 2018, at the same time as the new franchise agreement starts. So Kevin and Kathleen are here if you have any specific questions for them related to this. Otherwise, staff recommends we adopt the attached resolution authorizing the execution of the franchise agreement and then the initiation of the 218 process.
Okay. Is there any questions from council? Do we have any?
I should say that on last Tuesday at the county's County Board of Supervisors meeting, they also adopted their franchise agreement. So I just want to make sure that those.
Okay. Do we have any speaker cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We'll move to item F3.
Nice drive down there for 10 minutes.
Thank you for sitting there for the 3 hours.
So, we're waiting for Jim?
Oh. He took off. He ran out the back door.
Probably.
He saw a break.
I can continue if it doesn't matter to me.
Let's wait for
Okay.
Jim. Just make sure he wasn't here last time we did this.
Right.
There it is. Okay.
So, item F3 is a continuation of the MOU with the high school for a school resource officer. You'll notice in this one, this is a 3-year MOU going through 2021. The contract essentially is the same. We actually went through it line by line the other day prior to submitting this. One of the things that I would like to just kind of point out there is if you get onto the MOU page, past recitals, and onto the section where it states the city's rights and responsibilities. Section 3 talks about what the officer will be responsible for, including if you go to line 2, shall include traffic and parking control and enforcement and preventive patrol on school grounds and in or about that. And how we operate our SROs is they have that beat and are control of the area around the schools as well. So you'll see them doing traffic enforcement before school and, of course, after school at pickup times, and also doing some of the nuisance traffic stuff during the day as well. It's a great agreement because it also allows us to pull these SROs, each one of them, for any emergencies we might have in the city as well. And then there's also a cooperative agreement that allows the SROs to go from the high school to any of the school district campuses as well, based on just need. So it's actually a really good contract for all the schools here in our community. Any questions?
Any questions at all? Councilmember Friend?
We have 3, 2 in the grammar schools and 1 at the high school.
Correct, we do, yes.
So all 3 of those guys can be utilized in any situation for any of the high schools.
Exactly, yeah. And you'll see the agreement coming with the Hollister School District, which will be also a 3-year agreement, coming in August as well.
Okay. I think it's been working out great. Do we have any speaker cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I need to recuse myself from item F4 as I have a client who has a tentative map approved that is conditioned upon entering into CFD number 5.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. This next item is requesting the City of Hollister to approve a resolution of intention, ROI, to establish a Community Facilities District, CFD5, approve the boundary map, including future annexation, and also the special tax rate. Approval of these items will authorize the resolution approving boundary map and future annexation, resolution of intention to establish a new Community Facilities District to support the police and fire services, and including the special tax rate. In order for the city to secure ongoing police and fire services and provide emergency services for new projects as condition, the property owners are required to annex into City of Hollister Community Facilities District 5 Police and Fire Services, which will establish a new tax on residential units within the development. The special tax will be levied within the proposed boundary for the CFD and will continue in perpetuity with annual escalator to provide revenues for the ongoing police and fire services. The annual special tax levy cannot exceed $775 per single-family unit and $635 per multifamily unit. Starting tax year 2018-2019, adjusted annually thereafter by the change in the consumer price index. The approval of this resolution would also set the public hearing no less than 30 days or more than 60 days after the approval. In this case, the public hearing will be scheduled for the August 6th council meeting.
Okay. Is there any questions from council? Do we have any speaker cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Now we get into the serious
Christine, can you bring up the presentation? Hello, Mayor and Council. I'm here to discuss our budget for the next 2 years. Once it's up. So pretty much you've seen before the financial plan, the budget basics, we've already gone through. That we continue to strive for strong reserves, but I'll kind of get in the meat. We've gone through most of this through the budget workshops. Sorry, focus on the general fund. So you see our revenues kind of maintain flat, and that's we adjust our budget accordingly. Sorry, you can see most of our budget comes from taxes, and the other is the measure E. Sorry. Okay. So our expenditures, you'll see the red bar is our one-time expenditures. It's about 1.1 million as we have in one-time expenditures this year, and then our normal operations. I should say our budget is balanced. When we go through some of our one-time monies and expenditures, we were able to squeeze out a few more revenue to offset our one-time expenditures. Sorry, a bug that's bothering me. You see we're very much a service industry with our personnel being almost 70% of our budget, and the next is our contractual obligations to provide those services. Our majority of our expenditures are public safety, with police and fire being the number 1 and 2. Our breakdown of our budget, like I say, the police is number 1, fire, and then you can see the rest of it. When we take out our one-time monies, our revenues and expenditures we project are pretty much staying hand in hand through the next 5 years. So our one-time revenues for 18-19, we feel we were able to bring in about another 100,000 in fire inspection fees over what our normal year would be, 650,000 in building permits, an extra 700,000 in engineering and inspection, contingent use permits, about another 30,000, developer impact fee administration charge, that we have in our agreements for development fees. It's about another $150,000 a year. Additional planning charges, about another $50,000, and plan check fees for $50,000. So we feel for 18-19, we're going to bring in about another $1.7 million in one-time revenues over what our normal operations would be. Now for 19-20, we figure it's going to be, like I say, $50,000 for fire inspection, another $600 for both building permits, engineering and inspection, and $50,000 for plan check charge. So about 1.3 for that year. Based on our budget workshop, these are the commitments that we've already had for current obligations for 18-19, which equates about $1.4 million. For the next year, it was about $1 million for current obligations. So the one time that, quick happy here. So one thing that we agreed upon for one-time monies for next year were the sports equipment, police servers, information services, information, software for the city clerk, animal control barrier, police radio infrastructure, stump grinding and tree replacement, outfitting the new fire vehicles that have been approved, and then the lease for 3 loaders. This is the general fund portion, and that came out about $500,000 for 18-19. And then for 19-20, it was the continuing of the lease for the loaders and the stump grinding and tree replacement for $51,000 for 19-20. So with that, you see the revenues that are coming in for the one-time, or the current obligations and the one-time expenditures. So we'll end the year or the 2 years with about $77,000 to the good. As we discussed, there are other one-time monies that we want to spend, and we'll bring that during our closing of the fiscal year for 17-18. With this, our general fund is still going to be strong, about $5.7 million, or about 25% of the budget. We'll have our rainy day funds and our equipment replacement for the future. Some of the other one-time requests for other funds would be sewer fund for a tractor with a liquid sprayer, airport, a water blaster, and then water and sewer funds will have their debt payment for the loaders. That would just kind of gives you an indication of the revenues that we requested and expenditures for the different funds, and then also for our capital projects and enterprise. So I gave a quick rundown of 19 and 20, and same thing. A quick rundown of the budget. What I'm requesting is that you adopt the 2018 to 2020 budget resolution number 2018-173, plus the resolution for the appropriation limit. But I'm here for any questions.
Okay. Councilmember Friend?
I have 2 quick questions. It's a 2-year budget.
Correct.
And we're still going to receive quarterly updates.
You will still receive quarterly updates like you normally do. As you know, in the past, the mid-year, we would have adjustments. If different things that have happened during the year, we'd come back to the council and approve those. We would have an annual one, just like the mid-year, but we'll still have the quarterly updates.
The other is, and this is more of a, well, it's a weird question. You don't have any projections or guesses on the additional revenue to the new industry in town? And I know that's difficult to do, but there's got to be a soft number out there that you're expecting with inspections and
right now, I mean, we've had 2 payments and they would have been minimal. So until that industry is up and running, we're just not, we're scared to make too big a projections.
For the 2019 budget, we might know what
right, correct. But that's what we can include during the quarterly presentation is where we're at with that industry.
I would like to see if there's any revenues that we're starting to pick up on quarterlies. I'd like to see those.
Yeah, and we'll definitely, I mean, we would bring that, like I say, during our mid-year or annual review, saying that we have this additional funds if there were.
Okay. Vice Mayor Luna.
Yeah, Brett, on your projections, page 2 out of 3, you have Penoche Valley, 882,102. Is that projected for a 2-year, for the 2-year budget?
Correct.
So it's
Per
pretty
year.
secure?
Yes, they've been doing, my understanding is they're kind of behind on their project, so that would continue out in the near future. But we only spend what we have agreed with them. So if it goes forward where they sever the contract, we would stop the expenditures at that time anyways,
Okay.
regardless of the budget.
Okay, and the 2-year budget it's going to be fairly new for all the departments. So,
We'll be monitoring
Monitoring.
very closely.
yeah.
We don't want them to overexpend their
Right.
checkbook.
Don't let
right
us
away.
spend it all in 1 year.
Correct.
Thank you.
My only comment. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, if I may just interject a little bit on Councilman Friend's question, based on, because we've kind of done this soft number. If you kind of want to give me I'll give you a soft number on the regulatory permits that you've issued to date, assuming that they're all up and operating at the same time. You're looking at anywhere between 800 and 930,000, I think it was, on those businesses. Now, the potential is much greater again because we have some big projects that are in the works. They're just not up and operating, nor do we have the regulatory permits. So,
Well, and I understand that. I
Yeah.
just thought maybe you'd be throwing that just to make things look rosy. Throw that number out there. That's okay.
no. Brett's super conservative. He doesn't count his chickens before they're
I was just going to
Let
say.
us know how many eggs you got hatching. That's all.
I like spending the money after you have the money.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was going to be my
He's a
question.
pain.
To you. We've done a lot over the last few years to catch up on things we've needed, pay down debt, so on. I'm just getting a little nervous. I've seen those numbers tracking, and there's not a lot of room in there. And I'm worried, as we know, a recession will come. That we talked about this several years back. The goal was to wean ourselves off of that Measure E money so we can use that for the one-times rather than using it to just carry the budget or through. Because when that time comes, if we're not careful, that means we're going to have to start cutting services again and going back through that whole mess. The goal was to make sure we're providing the service quality, but really remaining frugal in our dollars, using them the best we can. And the way I saw that tracking, I get nervous. I know Ray and I had many hard times back then. So we did a good job this year. Next year, but I think by next year we need to be having that conversation and figure out a plan so that in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, we have a little more room in case of the eventual downturn. Because I just do not want to have that conversation when that downturn hits and we're all pointing at each other. Why didn't we do something? Let's pre-plan for this. But you did a great job, and you've been doing a great job. And the rosy picture of everything else, I agree. Leave it out until it's factual and it's there and it's consistent. So thank you very much for all that. Councilmember Giglio?
Yeah, Brett and the whole finance team, as well as the city manager, I want to say thank you for your hard work on this budget. This is definitely a lot of work. You guys do a great job. And I actually really appreciate there's different viewpoints on city budgeting. You can build in, a couple % inflator, so you don't have to keep coming back to council for different, we had a loader breakdown, we had a truck do this, we had to do that. I really actually appreciate you guys coming back to us, keeping the budget as tight as possible. And I know it takes a little extra time to have all these items on the agenda, but I really appreciate those supplemental appropriations as needed, so you can keep the budget as tight as possible. And then we have the responsibility of monitoring it and then reporting back out to our folks that we represent. So thank you for that, and I really appreciate your hard work.
Okay, do we have any speaker cards on this?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
I'm just confirming that's for both resolutions.
Yeah, we can do another one if you want. Do we need to do another one?
I would recommend one for each of them.
That was for the
That would be for 173.
I'll make make a motion for resolution 2018-174.
Second.
Thank you very much.
There's a motion, and there's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, before we continue, can I ask, we need clarification on E4.
What?
E4, it was one of the public hearings in regards to the LLXP Corporation, the cannabis distribution facility. We think we heard you say that the vote was for but no one was missing.
Wasn't there? There was nobody recused on that one?
No, not on that
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry. Okay.
So we just want clarification.
Okay.
So is that a 5-0?
That would make it a 5-0 vote.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move to item F6. Can I hang around on this conversation?
Yeah, you can.
You're up for re-election. You can't be part of it.
I discovered that on the city treasurer term that it's not a 2-year term, it is a full 4-year term. So I needed to make that correction on the resolution. But I would also like to add, if I may, and I put the cleaner copy before you, that I would if you would please adopt, everything is the same except for it changes the term for the council seats, just the city treasurer to 4 years instead of 2, as it should have been properly. The only 2-year term besides the mayor is going to be District 4, and that is because we had to appoint someone. We didn't do that we did have to appoint someone in the city treasurer,
Right.
but it wasn't. She was actually elected in 2014, not 2016, so
Yes.
It was my error. So if you do approve this resolution, if I could have you add and rescind the resolution number, add the language and rescind resolution number 2018-87, which I had forgotten to add when I sent the agenda packet out.
So does that mean the treasurer is an open position this year?
And it's a full 4-year term, not 2, as I originally had placed on the resolution.
So the only one that's a 2-year term is the mayor and District
4, correct. Yeah.
Can we make District 4 2-year and Mayor 4-year?
Sure. Let's just. Yeah. So I
would support
apologize.
that move. Let's do that.
I apologize for having to come back and do that.
So in this election, District 4 is for the permanent seat for 2 years, and
the District 4, who's ever hired in District 4 will only be a 2-year term to complete the original 4-year term in 2016.
and the same for the treasurer.
Yeah. No, that's for District 4. And then for the city treasurer, it's a full 4-year term starting this year.
Fresh start.
But
Fresh
isn't that gonna mess up the balance? I mean, it's usually been 2.
No, because District 4 will run again in 2020.
It's continuing the same as Roy Sims when he was elected to finish up 4 years.
So the treasurer, that was 4 years ago then?
It was,
Okay.
yes. Yeah,
Wow.
my mistake. I thought
Okay.
it was 2 years, but it was 4.
All right, got it now. Okay.
So District 3 is a 4-year?
All of them are.
All of them
Correct.
will be
4 years.
Yes, all of them except for
4 will be 2.
except for the mayor
Oh,
and District 4 at this time.
In this election. Gotcha. Okay.
I'm confused. That's
Finish up.
okay, as long as it doesn't say District 1.
So you need one
You'll take it as a
motion?
given. Okay. Do we have any speaker cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Now we need a motion that addresses those issues.
I'll make a motion with the amendment that Christine was bringing up, which is to adopt the resolution with the amendments.
I'll second that motion, and thank you, Christine.
So there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much for that confusion. We'll go to G1, reports from city council members regarding their committees. Councilmember Flower?
Yes, I had a meeting of the Intergovernmental Committee. The major item talked about was already voted on earlier in the consent agenda, which was the expenditure plan for the proposed traffic road infrastructure sales tax.
Okay. Councilmember Friend?
I had a couple meetings. One was the Fire Protection Committee, which we are in the process of rewriting the contract for our fire services as far as this county and San Juan Bautista are concerned. We are in the, we're still in negotiations, and it's getting ugly now. So I would expect in August, because we're going to be black in July, in August sometime we will come to the council with a recommendation on that. The second meeting was with the Monterey Public Power, and just for everybody's information now, the Monterey Power is going to go, residentials will go hot July 1. You should have received your cards in the mail explaining to you your options, either to opt out of Monterey Power and stay with PG&E, or if you do nothing, you automatically become part of, that's the way the state set it up. So you have to opt out to go to stay with PG&E. Read this very carefully. Please go online to the website and read it, because it affects every person in this county. Everybody that turns on a light bulb should read this, because it's important. One thing we need to point out is if you do not opt out, technically you will get a 3% reduction in your rate, because Monterey Bay Power is reducing the rates automatically by 3%. At the end of 1 year, we're expecting to reduce it again another 5%. PG&E just raised their rates, and Monterey Power stayed at the first quarter rates, so that you will not see the PG&E rate increase in July if you stay with Monterey. So that's where the 3%, you're already 3% ahead of the game is. So I would expect and hope that everybody reads that card. We've had 2 open sessions now, and for information, and I hate to say this, but no more than 50 people in the county have even bothered to listen to it. I know they're going to be here in August screaming at us because they don't understand. It has nothing to do with the city. This is Monterey Power. One of the things that's coming out of that, though, is now there are 27 independent power producers now that are separate. They're under a CCA. And now all 27 of those CCAs are forming a group to where when they go to Sacramento, they're going to have as much pull as PG&E does, or San Diego, or Southern California. So it's going to change the scope of the energy buying and production, and it's not going to change the transportation. PG&E still wields the power. They buy it, we buy it, they move it. So it's real important to read up on this and do the right thing. And that's my report.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Luna?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I attended the AMBAG meeting on Wednesday, June 13th, in Marina. And I also wanted to bring up the fact that Monterey Bay Power is there, and they will now have a seat on the AMBAG board.
Good.
So that's great. That's my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Gilliam?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to defer to you for COG, if you don't mind. I was at a family member's graduation, so I wasn't able to attend.
I'd be happy to update everyone. I was at the COG meeting. The special meeting focused on the attempt putting a ballot measure on November, 1%, that'll raise upwards of $480 million to widen Highway 25 to a 4-lane. Also do local improvements to our roads and some other projects. The financial analysis pointed out the numbers a little more clearly. The estimate of fixing Highway 25 is about $240 million, but with the bonding and financing to make this all work, it approaches $400 million. So it's important for everyone to understand how expensive this project is and why it's so difficult to get this project done. But Highway 25 will be the priority project through the sales tax, and then the local roads. The first 8 years or so, those dollars will actually be coming towards the local roads. So it's an estimate of about $8 to $9 million a year that will be coming to local roads for the first 8 years. And then as Highway 25 gets ready to go into construction, we do the bonding, and the bonding costs would be covered through that sales tax for about the next 10 years. And then, again, additional dollars towards our local roads. So it does help us quite a bit here locally to get the roads done, so people will see an immediate impact on the roads being fixed here that we desperately need as the studies are finished for Highway 25 and the land purchasing and the contracting goes out. So it's making good progress. We did approve that, and I believe tonight we approved part of what we had to do on Highway 25.
Yeah. I'd just like to make a comment that you can take back to COG. I'm in favor of the 1% deal, but I would just ask them to please, whatever it costs, they need to do a better job of telling the people of San Bernardino County exactly what this is all about. Because I think it failed 2 years ago for that reason.
Well,
there was no education. Nobody understood what it was about.
And the issue with that, so everyone is clear, COG or a government agency can only start the process, explain what it's going to be. Once it's finalized, they can't be part of that conversation anymore because it becomes campaigning with public dollars. So they have to step aside, and this is where the public needs to be involved to get that message out, because the local governing agencies cannot legally do that, nor do we want local agencies to be campaigning on different tax issues. So it's important for the public to be involved and understand what's going on, and understanding the solution is us, and it's the only way it's going to happen here. And we're very close to getting this thing done, and it's going to be a good measure. I want to thank Jim. He's there all the time with the meetings, all the work we've all done together to make this thing work. So I want to thank all those elected officials involved. Did that bring it to speed?
Yeah, you got it perfect. The only other thing I want to mention is that this tax measure, we all on the COG board, and we've had, I can't even count how many community outreach sessions. We've really been doing our best to get the measure that the people want to vote on so that it's successful. Going back to what Ray said, so we can do all the work we can do to draft a very crafted, thoughtful measure, and then as soon as it goes to the different boards, City Council, the Board of Supervisors, we got to be out of it. But with that being said, the biggest things that we've heard is lack of trust with where the money's going to go, or how it's going to be spent. So we're being very thoughtful about, if you looked at tonight's agenda, you'll see a project list for the city that literally spells out this street from here to here, from here to here. You know, it's all in there because we want very specific projects. And then the other thing that we're going to be working towards is heavy public accountability to hold COG and the various boards, San Juan Bautista, Hollister, and San Benito County, responsible for where and how the money's spent. And I think that we'll see that in this measure, and I'm hoping that we can all get behind it and it can be successful, because it's going to fix a lot of issues that we have happening. And the final thought I'll make is that if we do become a self-help county, the state has over $200 million of matching funds available to help self-help counties or people with sales tax measures. And then they also have another kicker for this year only. It's like buying a car, right? They say you get a $5 million bonus if you pass a self-help tax measure in 2018, and that would happen January 1st for all three organizations to divide up. So there's a lot of incentives to actually become a self-help county. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You know, if everybody would buy pizza, we'd get the holes filled.
Yeah, I saw that. That's nice. Pizza or
buy pizza.
What is it? Domino's, yeah.
Domino's. Buy Domino's.
Of course, the cost of the pizza would go up, but different story.
Tastes like blacktop.
All right, City Manager.
If I may, I would like to give the first part of my time to Tina, who received the proclamation this evening.
Thank you.
For Park and Recreation Month.
Thank you, Mayor Velasquez and council members, for acknowledging July as Recreation and Parks Month. I appreciate you guys taking the time to acknowledge this. What I'd like to bring up here is Recreation created a calendar, and it's a really cool calendar for the month of July. And each day in July is an activity, and we would like our community to go out and visit a park or an event that we're offering. Movies in the Park is in July. Our Color Run is in July. On Mondays, we partnered with the Arts Council, and Mondays is Arts in the Parks at Dunn Park between 12 and 1. And on Thursdays, we partnered with Technova, so we'll have Science in the Parks at Valley View Whale Park. So we're doing a lot of activities, and what we'd like the community to do is at least go to 25 of these 31 activities that we have here. And if they do, then they'll be able to enter in a raffle-type drawing, and we'll have a basket at the end. And what we'd like to do is and they'll enter their name into a drawing, and the winner will be announced at our August 10th Movies Under the Stars event. They don't have to be present to win. They just enter their name. They can drop it off at Recreation, or they can drop it off at Movies in the Park. The forms will be printed in Spanish and English, and we will start... Community will be able to start picking the forms up by June 27th. And that's what Recreation is going to do to celebrate July Parks, Recreation and Parks Month.
Will that be on the calendar? I'm sorry, on the website, the calendar?
Yes, we sent it to Paul, our IT, and it will be on there. I have copies if you guys would like a copy, like to see it. Right now we do not have it in Spanish. We have one person that can translate, so she's going to have someone else review it also. Thank you.
Thank you
yes.
very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job.
City Attorney?
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Can I go back a little bit?
Changed your mind, did you?
No, I only wanted her to have like part of it.
Part of it.
Thank you. Yeah, I yield a portion of my time. A couple other things. I just wanted to acknowledge LG, specifically right now, Soren. This is going to be his last council meeting with you folks. As of July 1st, we will be moving forward with our new city attorney. So I want to specifically thank Soren for all of his help here at the City of Hollister. He has one planning commission, or maybe Paul will do it. I'm not sure who's doing the planning commission this month. But I wanted to thank him for that. And then also... And then on a sadder note, not that that's not sad, but on Thursday, on the 14th, we lost a member of this community. Mr. Jim Paxton passed away, and with all due respect, I would like the council, if they don't mind, to adjourn tonight's meeting in his memory, and that would be very much appreciated by the Paxton family and myself personally. So thank you.
Okay. Chief? Or City Attorney?
Well, and since Bill brought it up, and it was a pleasure, just want to let everybody know that it was a pleasure serving the city, and it was a great experience, and I look forward to seeing you again, and I will certainly be back in Hollister, if nothing else, for maybe one of your farmers markets. Thank you.
Thank you for everything. Chief?
Yeah, two things. This Saturday is opening day for Junior Giants. It'll be at R.O. Hardin. I believe it's at 8:30 in the morning. It'd be nice if some of you could show up to that. It's a huge event. There's hundreds and hundreds of kids there, and it's an amazing what Hollister Rec does with that program for the kids of this whole community. It's quite a sight to see if you haven't been there and ever seen that. And then, of course, starting Friday, Saturday, Sunday is the Saddle Horse Show. Friday night is the first performance. It's at 7 p.m., and then the other two are at 1:30 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk?
I just wanted to thank JRG and specifically City Attorney Diaz for all the service and help that you've given me, and I'm going to miss those scary smiles that you give me that are kind of comforting too in a weird way. I don't know how else to describe it, but I will miss you very, very much. So I'm hoping that we'll still work together on a few projects. So, do you have anything?
No.
Thank you.
She's been talking all night.
Yeah, she's been gabbing all night. That's true. All right, we're going to move to G3.
Mr. Mayor, as this is a continuation of the ongoing process for picking a dispensary, I need to recuse myself again because I recused myself originally when the applications were reviewed. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I believe I'm in the same situation. I'll be recusing.
There's no action.
No, there's no action. It's just a report.
But they
Can
don't
we
want to
stay
be part of
then,
the.
or-
Well, I was going to say there's no vote or action, so.
Mr. City Attorney, thoughts?
Well, although there's no action, I think.
Discussion.
Yeah,
All the-
just discussion.
Thank you.
All right, get out.
Change your mind.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and remaining council members. Tonight, I just wanted to start having the discussion about round two. As you know, the City of Hollister's ordinance allows 2 medical dispensaries to be permitted within the city limits of the City of Hollister. At a recent meeting, the council took action on one of them, which would be Monterey Bay Area Alternative Medicine, who is going to be starting the construction of their new facility off of San Felipe. What we are left with is essentially another available dispensary. So we've talked internally about how to possibly go through this process and select another dispensary for the community. And Maria Mendez was unavailable to stay for the entire meeting this evening. But so what we've been talking about doing potentially is allowing dispensaries to reapply or go through a process again in which applications would be made to become a qualifying dispensary. We have the process sort of already in hand. Everybody that participated in the first round would be allowed to apply again and or amend their applications as necessary. I think one of the things that we discussed is potentially having as the staff's staff committee review this, and the staff committee is made up of the police department, the planning department, engineering, finance, essentially the entire team would make sure that all the applicants could meet the minimum qualifications. Assuming that they meet the minimum qualifications, I think staff would then ask the council to ratify that selection, and if there are a group of, say, 5 or 6 again, or 7, my suggestion is that we have the mayor, we put those firms' names in a bucket or whatever and draw a winning dispensary. One of the things that does is it takes sort of the subjective or objectivity out of it. As you know, when we went through this process the last time and you're selecting 2 out of 7, you've obviously made 5 people upset. And I think that one of the ways to avoid that is again, to make sure that they meet the minimum qualifications and or standards that you have set forth, but then the actual selection would be basically a luck of the draw. We've done that in many times. We've done that for mostly, obviously, in the affordable housing arena, where when we have 60 or 70 affordable homes that are being that come up available, we'll have a big drawing over at the Vets Hall. Sometimes there's 600 or 700 families that are applying for those things. So it's not something that's necessarily unique or new to the city of Hollister. It would just be kind of unique in this particular situation. So I think one of the things that we would like to do is get the word out during our dark month of July and start accepting applications. When we come back, we can kind of review what those look like in sort of August or late August, and then try to set something up for September or October, if that pleases the council. If I'm way off base, I'd be more than happy to look at other things. So,
okay. Any comments from council? Vice Mayor Lund?
Bill,
Yes.
Can you clarify how the application process would be. Is there a fee that will be charged again to any applicant?
Yeah, well, one of the first things that we would do that is a little bit different this time is prior to the actual submittal of an application, we would want everybody or all the primary applicants to be live scanned to make sure that they pass that minimum qualification. That's how we're doing basically everything at this point. So the live scan portion of it would be out of the way. Yes, there would be an application fee as there is right now, and then that would cover basically staff's time to review the new applications.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was concerned about the application fee.
Mm-hmm.
That would be applied.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ray, any questions?
No.
It's crazy. No, go ahead. It's late. Ask a question.
So we'll pull a name out of a pot.
No
pull a pot name out of a
See
pot.
who gets the pot license.
Yeah, and or like I said, I mean, again, this is just something that we came up with conceptually. If there's a better idea that you folks come up with, please, I'm all ears, and we'd be willing to do anything that pleases the council.
I don't have an issue with pulling the name out of of the pot cloud out of a pot, but I think it would be handy if we could just receive the names of the applications that are in the pot, because some of them were quite contentious, and we argued quite a bit about where they were, who they were, and what they were. And I'm just saying, some of them were turned down for reasons of we didn't like the location, we didn't like the way they combed their hair, whatever. And all of a sudden, you could pull that name out of a pot, and we're going, wait a minute, we turned this one down. So it's only the applicants that died for lack of motion, other than
no. And Councilman Friend, I think one of the things that's important to me is for you folks to ratify. So again, we may have 10 applicants, right? And we may only end up with, say, 6 in the pot to choose from. And the reason why we may only end up with 6 or 7 to choose from is I want you to make sure that you, the council, are selecting the folks that actually go into the pot, meaning that you approve of their location, you approve of the people who are running the operation. So you're ratifying sort of what I'm going to be asking you is you ratify the group of folks that go into this particular pot. So if you don't like the way somebody combs their hair initially, that's fine. Right, but everybody that goes in the pot is somebody that you would be willing to do business with in this community. Okay. So, and then we would go from there.
I think as you said earlier, we set the parameters first to make it fair for everyone.
Yes.
I had issues with not so much the people, but just some of the location issues, and I think we kind of worked through a lot of that. But I think we need to be a little more clear with you on what that is. I don't know if you want to have that conversation separately, so we can talk about it again. But I think when that evening comes, that name that's pulled out is that person, and it's done.
Well, and
it makes it fair.
Now I understand. We're going to approve the 6 that go into pot.
Yeah, you would. I would ask that you folks do that again, because there are going to be some. I'm sure there's going to be some location issues at some point, or there are going to be some locations that are more desirable than others, and I just want to make sure that whoever goes in this particular pot is valid.
Now, is that going to have to be done at a public hearing?
I would absolutely require. I mean, we may do it at a special meeting just for that, but it doesn't take very long. I mean, what I would suggest is that we ratify the applicants one meeting, and maybe we have a quick little at the next meeting. We would have your pot, and we would do it that way.
Oh, I like doing the pot at the meeting.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think that would work. So
yeah.
So if everybody agrees with that, that's the way I'll present it as soon as possible. Okay.
Yeah, go with it. We'll disagree later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we bring in Councilmember Gilio and Clara? They did. It's that back door. All right. right, H, I, J, and K, there's no business.
Move for adjournment.
We're gonna do,
in Jim
memory,
Paxton.
I think Vice Mayor Luna also has an additional name.
Yes, I would like to also bring up the name of Ruth Erickson's husband, who recently passed away, Ronald Erickson. I did see her at the grocery store. She just looked very, very sad. So I told her I'd like to do this, in his memory. So I'd like to recommend Ron Erickson.
So
And-
adjourn in memory of Mr. Erickson and Mr. Paxton.
And Mr. Paxton.
Absolutely.
First name of Mr. Paxton, Jim?
Jim.
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank
Did
you,
it
everyone.
Before 9 o'clock. I am impressed. I can't believe when I looked at that agenda.